Hello and Yajong. Thank you for joining me tonight. It is not by mistake that you are here. You're here obviously because you know who I'm going to speak to tonight. It very much is a true privilege to be here with all of you here. Welcome to the first time viewers, return viewers. Welcome to those who are watching the restream. I do appreciate you being here. This is Hmongoose Live, and I have a great guest tonight. I've never had a guest of this nature before. For the most part, I interview artists, musicians. I'm gonna try something different this time, and I'm gonna actually um, uh, interview someone that is of the Hmong community, but of completely different nature. Tonight, I am privileged to have none other than Aden Thao with us tonight. Now, if you're here and you're wondering who is Aden Thao, then you got to get to know this guy. Um, he's young, he's talented, he's very, very, very wise, charismatic for his age. And I think I've said it before, I've said it on my page, and I'll say it again. He's a wonderful guy, and I do believe that he is going to be the next Suni Lee. Except now he's very accessible still, and he is a Hmong brother and friend, local to me here in Fresno, Clovis area. And so I had the opportunity to meet him a couple months ago at his award I guess event where he right after he raced in Thailand, and we kind of touched base. And I had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to film him right before he raced at Button Willow Raceway, which I had no idea where it was or what it was. But I got to know Aden Thao really well, and I found that he has a great team with him, Cali Shine, and he is extremely transparent, and he's very lucid in his thoughts. And I wanted to interview him, and I wanted everyone to actually get to know Aden too, because he's such a great guy, and he has a couple events coming up. And this live session is really just an opportunity to get to know Aden a little bit more, and also his team. But before that, let's jump to this a little bit. So Anthony Unison is here. Hey, Anthony, how are you? Oh, if you haven't had a chance yet, do help us out. Take 1 second. If you're watching here, take 1 second to like and share this on social media so we can get more people here and draw more attention to Aden, because he's so worthy of all of our attention. And also, you can, if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to Hmongoose on YouTube, and don't forget to hit that notification button. But without further ado, let's welcome none other than Aden. Aden, how are you?
I'm doing good, Long. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing great, great. Always, hustling, working, coming out here, and I know you, Cali Shine. You guys have a crazy busy schedule, but I do appreciate you coming out, giving your time to be here and to chat with the fans. The fans kind of know. So, Aden, if this is your first time seeing Hmongoose Live, this is how it works. What I do is I actually encourage in-person questions, and I give in-person priorities. For those who don't know, there is a chat here. You can chat and you can ask Aden any questions you like, as long as they're appropriate. Then I'll try to answer them, and Aden will try to address them. But you guys know, what you can do is you can message me on my Facebook page, and if you want, I'll send you the link, and you, instead of chatting, you can actually ask Aden the questions in person, come on video. That's always the funnest thing to do, especially if you guys know Aden personally and you guys want to say hi or whatnot. Just let me know, and we'll go from there. Um, Aden, so what's new? So foremost, congratulations, Button Willow, you took first place. And for those who don't know, Button Willow is about an hour and a half away from Fresno, and it's Aden. You would say it's your home track. Was that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say. It's the closest track to us here in Fresno, and I would say that's the track that I've ridden at the most and have the most experience at. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a home track. I spent a lot of my time there.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I would say I live there. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much for coming out.
Very nice. So let's catch up with some of these folks here that are here. Cha Video says hello. Okay, hello, Cha. Joe Eve Moa. Aden, this is he's a music promoter from Florida, actually. So we have viewers from Florida, believe it or not, watching you right now. And it's
That's great.
10:30, and they're here watching you. And so he's a business owner and promoter. He's doing for those who don't know, he's doing the Hmong music summer beach bash in Florida,
Okay.
Panama City on July 30th. So if anyone's free, come and support Joe and the other artists that are going there. So good things happening for Joe. And Joe says, how exciting. I don't know how much Joe knows about um, racing, but Aden, I don't even know why you let me come out there, because I knew nothing about racing, and I learned everything I know about riding motorcycles. And Aden, about you, and also racing when is attributed to you. So thank you so much for letting me get on that track. Chang Mua says, Chang was here. Sup, Long and Aden. Chang is Aden. Chang's a clothing producer, and actually, I'm wearing his shirt.
Okay.
I told Chang that I saw him at Sounds of Music, and I told him that, okay, next time I go on live, I'm gonna wear his shirt. So here it is. So beautiful shirt. It's a Pandao a hoodie. And so anyone that needs Hmong hair, support Chang. John says, watching you from Madison, Wisconsin. Okay, there you go, Aden. So we've got Midwest people here. Joe says, hi, Aden. I'm sorry. Joe's not from Florida. He's from North Carolina. I'm sorry. And
How
of
you doing,
course,
Joe? What's
you
up,
probably
man?
know Lao Su from Sacramento.
Yep.
Okay, but so I think Aden, you're super complex. People don't realize how complex it is. It's not just Aden Thao the racer. Aden, you've got a team with you, and it's on your shirt, Cali Shine Racing. But I found out really quickly that the other person, at least the one other person that's pivotal to team, I guess you could say team Aden Thao, is your dad, Lo. Is your dad there now? Let's see if he comes. Lo, are you there? Can you join us? I think he's gonna come in.
Yeah. Let's let's keep going.
Okay, he's on his way. Aden, so for those who watch, so on Hmongoose, Aden, you kind of saw I did a series of videos on you. I did a short. I had you describe show your bike to us a little bit. Your basically trophy winning bike, and then your dad told us about the tires, and then you did what we call you allowed me to accompany you on what we call a code track walkthrough. Can you tell us what a code track walkthrough basically is?
Yeah. So pretty much it's how us riders we learn to track. So if we're new to the track and we have a coach, like currently right now I'm coaching a new rider. At every track day event, every race event that we go out to. So he's pretty much one of my students, and he's a fairly new rider. So pretty much how I went on track with you and your son
Mhm.
when the track was cold at Bunt Willow, and I go through the corners, and I teach them step by step about the track. Every corner, your line, and etc. Stuff like that. That's pretty much how us racers communicate to each other. It's pretty much us learning and talking about the track.
So you basically Aden basically allowed me to walk the track with him, and he taught me about the track. But at the same time, I just bombarded you with hundreds of questions anyways, and I recorded it. And so anyone's interested in our conversation, I probably you probably fast tracked me into understanding motorcycle racing 1,000% in that hour 15 that we were walking that track. So cold track is when the track shuts down after people practice, and
That's
you're allowed
correct.
to basically walk it. And because that was your home track, you knew it in great detail, and so you shared a lot of stories. But you kind of mentioned that. So you've been racing for how long now?
3 years now. Yeah.
3 years now, and so how old are you now?
18.
18. So you started when you're 15.
That's correct.
Um, and for a lot of people, if you do the math, that's a pretty perplexing concept. At 15, you started riding on a bike, essentially. You kind of shared, but the culture of motorcycle riding obviously is very different, because you were telling me that people start training to ride at a much earlier age. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so usually a lot of the racers that I compete against, and just the nature of the riders, they they're born into motorcycles. They come from motorcycle backgrounds. They come from parents that have raced motorcycles, cars in the past. So they're they were born into that. Unfortunately, I was not, and a lot of the other racers that I do race against, they have been racing when they were very young. They've been racing when they were 4, 5, 6 years old, just on little mini bikes, and them learning the fundamentals down. And like I said, unfortunately, I didn't have that privilege or that option to get introduced into motorcycles at a young age like that.
Yeah. How did you get introduced into motorcycle racing?
That question is I've gotten that question a lot, and it stays pretty much the same to everyone who I answer that to. Um, I got into motorcycle racing pretty much for myself. My older brother and my dad and the rest of my family, they've always been into cars. They've been really big car guys, and pretty much my whole life I grew up around cars, but I never really grew up around motorcycles. And I found cars interesting, and to this day I still love cars and motorcycles equally as much. But I think I was watching like Formula One, NASCAR, and then MotoGP popped up, and that was different. That was very different to me at the time, and because I never knew what a motorcycle was. I never ridden one. I never had experience with one, and it was so awesome how these riders, they're leaning the bike so far down. The bike's like on the ground already. Their bodies are touching the ground, and I just found that very, very fascinating. And that's kind of what sparked the interest. And as time went on, I started seeing these riders, these street riders that ride motorcycles on the street, and I started seeing them. Like me and my dad will go up to the mountains a lot because we're really big outdoors people as well. And you would see these groups of motorcycles fly past us, on up in the mountains, and it was so crazy how they were taking these turns in the mountains, and I found that really interesting. And I guess as time went on, I questioned my dad if he had any knowledge with motorcycles, and he did. He had some knowledge about motorcycles. He used to ride a Gixxer 750 back in his day. I think it was like 90s or something. And but he only rode a motorcycle to commute to work and school. So nothing, racing, nothing crazy like that. And that's pretty much when I asked for a motorcycle when I was, I think, 14 years old at the time. At first, it was very, let's put it like this. My mom was like very shocked because most people at that age, 14, 15 years old, they're starting to ask for a car because, for their 16th birthday, they'll get their driver's license and they'll get a car. And I'm like, no, I want a motorcycle, and yeah, so I was asking my parents for a motorcycle at 14, and I never thought that I would go big and in racing at the time, because at the time I just wanted a motorcycle to commute, go to school and have fun on the weekends and stuff like that. Never that I thought that we would get this far with motorcycles, and I was lucky enough to get a motorcycle on my 15th birthday. I still remember the day I got it. My dad never told me about it. I went to school one day, came home, and there's a motorcycle in the driveway. And
What did he get you?
he got me it was a blue Kawasaki Ninja 250. So it was a small little bike. It was a good starter bike, and I didn't know it was for me because so I just kind of went up to my dad. I walked past it, I glanced by it, and I asked him, I was like, "Whose motorcycle was that?" And then he threw me the keys, and he bought a helmet for me. He's like, "It's yours." And I was like, "No way," I thought
So if you were to drive on the street, are motorcycle rules different? Like if you got a motorcycle license, you still have to wait to 16 to drive to ride it on the street?
Yes, it's still 16. Yeah,
Okay, so then you're 14, you're 15, and clearly you can't be go on the street. So obviously, then you go on a track. That makes sense.
that's
That
correct. That's correct. Yes,
okay. So you get on a track, and you're 15 at the time. I guess the little bit of information I know that people don't know unless they watch that video is that you told me that within a couple of months of riding, you actually would you either started racing or you went pro, correct?
that's correct. So I was 15 at the time. I wasn't able to get a driver's license, and I wasn't able to get my M1, which is the your motorcycle license.
Mm-hmm.
I did eventually go back and get those when I did turn 16. So I do have a motorcycle license and I do have a driver's license currently. But yeah, I was 15 years old, so I couldn't ride on the street, you know. So I got a motorcycle, but I don't have a license. I'm not at age. So that's when we started taking it to the track because that was the only place I was able to ride a motorcycle legally and safely. So
So when you took your M1 test, they were like, "Snap, this kid is like really good for some reason."
no, at the time I took it, I was okay because I've already learned how to ride the motorcycle, so I understood the fundamentals and the basics. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it was yeah. So before I went to the track, I did some parking lot drills. You know, in an empty parking lot, you know, away from everyone, and that's pretty much where I learned how to ride the bike and get the basics down. And I dropped the bike, and I dropped the bike many times. You know, I stalled it, dropped it. I think I broke the mirror and stuff, scratched up
That's
the
your
bar.
250, the 250 you're
Correct.
telling us.
Yeah. That was the first day I ever rode it, and
Wow.
it was very frustrating because like I was so excited to finally get on one, and I didn't know it was gonna be that hard because I thought it was just like like a car, you just gas and go and brake, but
Yeah.
there's all these stuff that you got to do with your hands and feet, and but it was good. I learned pretty fast with that. The first day it went very poorly, but the second, third day, fourth day, fifth day, we kept going out and I got better and better. So, and then I think not long after that, I think just 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and we went to the track, and I had my first track day experience out there. And after
So
that,
so let's back up here. So I know what track day is, but other people might not tell. Explain what that is.
so a track is a closed course raceway. You don't need a license to ride at the track. You don't need to be a certain age to ride at the track. And a track is, when we say track, we mean by the racetrack. And when
So
we
this is
say
Button Willow.
correct, and when
Button
we
Willow.
say we're going to the track or we went to the track, that doesn't mean we're going to the track to race. That a track day is a day where you go out to the track and you ride and have fun. So what I do now is that I race, and whenever we go to the track, we go out there to race, to compete, and to compete for money, to compete for your name, and a lot of stuff like that. But we're at this time when I was 15, when we went to the track, I was just there to learn how to start cornering. The basics when it comes to figuring out your line and how to lean the bike properly, how to brake properly, and etc. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Nice. At Button Willow, there's that little go-kart track, and and when I was so when I was at Button Willow, for those who know, on Friday was the setup day, Saturday was a qualifying day, and then you guys typically race on a Sunday. Except that Saturday it rained, and you guys never did qualifications, but you did some test runs. But right next to where I was shooting, there's like a little go-kart track. Did you practice on that track, or was that just something else?
I have practiced on that track actually. When when we're preparing for a big event like when we went out to before we went out to Thailand just few months ago. I believe at that time we were getting ready to go to Thailand, but there was no races that I was doing locally here in California, so I was not on a bike for a very long time. What we'd like to do is that we would go to that kart track, bring my race bike out there, and ride my race bike race bike on the go-kart track, and
Yeah.
people was like, "You're racing, you're going on that little go-kart track with your race bike." And a lot of racers actually do that. They bring their race bikes and to the kart track to for endurance, to work on endurance. It's a very small, tight track, so that's really gonna make you.
You have to, some of those turns you have to lean pretty hard because they're pretty small.
Oh yeah, it's very small, it's very sharp, so it really works in your endurance. And sometimes we'll be out there, we'll spend 50 laps on the kart track, on a 100-degree day. I find it very good to practice on a kart track and to practice on mini motos as well.
Okay, very good. I'm gonna say hi to some people that are here. Yi Lang, Yi Lang from Rice. He says hi. Yeah. He's mentioning Minnesota, so we're gonna talk about Minnesota in just a little bit before we get too far. We'll talk about Minnesota a couple of times. Tiffany, hey, thanks for tagging people. Tiffany, Chua, and Corey. Say hi if you're here, guys, so that we know that you're here, so you can participate. And as always, feel free to ask questions. It's a little hard to ask questions, especially if you don't know much about racing like I did. But feel free to ask any questions. I think Aden, he's very open-minded. He'll answer more or less. Because John wants a shout out. If you want to shout out to John.
Yep. John is actually my uncle, so it's good to see you. Thank you, John. Good to see you. Corey, thank you so much.
I'm gonna share a little video of you that I found on your site. If you guys don't know what Aden does and you don't know anything about racing, then Aden, so this is not your 250. This is your 400.
That's correct.
Correct. And well, let's go all the way to the beginning. When we're mentioning 250, 400, whatever, what are we really talking about? Let them know.
So we're talking about engine displacement. Same thing like a car. A car will have a certain amount of horsepower, a certain amount of cylinders. When we say 250, 300, we're talking about the CCs with the motorcycle. So the higher up the CCs, the bigger the bike is, the faster it is. And the 250 is the smallest of the smallest of the sport bikes. So that's the smallest one, the least powerful one, and it goes all the way from 250 all the way up to thousands, 1100s, 1400s, and the list keeps going up.
So on your 400, what's the fastest that you've gone on your 400?
It really depends with who I'm racing with. Each organization, they have their own limitations and rules of how you build your machine, your motor. Mm-hmm. Moto America, they do restrict the power of the bike. So when you were out there at Bunt Willow, that bike was my practice and club race bike. That bike is actually faster than the bike that we ride at Moto America, because the 400 is restricted down to be able to compete with the 300s, like the R3s and our class as well. So it varies. When I was out there in Thailand, we were doing close to 150 miles per hour on a 400, and here at home I could do 140, 145 on my Ninja 400 back at home. So it varies on who we're racing with and where we are.
Okay, good. Let's watch this quick video. So anyone watching that video recognizes right away that you're leaning really hard. Like I read this article because I started getting really interested. I started Googling, and they were saying like in MotoGP, which is the highest level of racing, some of those guys lean like 65 degrees.
Oh yeah.
And they're saying like the average person is comfortable leaning like 20. Like if I was on a bike, if I leaned 21, I probably would feel like I was going to fall over right away. And so how did you learn? How does a person learn to lean like that?
It comes over time. Some people, they could ride a motorcycle for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and some people, they just won't get that fundamental down, and they won't get that confidence down. Um, I've learned very fast because I also made a lot of mistakes back when I was learning. It's only been 3 years from the first time I ever rode a motorcycle, and from that 3 year time span, we progressed so much in that short amount of time span, but we also made a lot of mistakes. So we also learn from that. And I would say mostly it's about your confidence and how much trust you have with your skill and your bike, your machine. And like I said, it really does come over time. And as seat time, like us racers, we like to mention it. How often are you on the bike? How often are you pushing that hard? And how often are you training to get to that certain level? So like I mentioned before, it takes time to learn something like that, and that's something that I'm still learning to this day, and want to better in myself.
Yeah. Because we're gonna use some weird language really quick. Um, so there's different tiers of racing. Um, can you explain to the people watching the different tiers of racing, like AFM versus Moto America versus International versus like MotoGP? Can you explain that to them?
Yeah, so I race four organizations here in California. I race AFM, WERA, CVMA, CRA, and those four organizations are local race organizations. It's not a professional race series. It is a very big series, and you do get a lot of professional riders like me and a lot of other Moto America riders that do come out to those local races. And then the next step up is Moto America. Moto America is what I currently compete in. It's the highest level of racing here in the United States. And if you're at the top of your class in Moto America, someone might send you off, or you might get that connection to go race overseas, like how I'm doing currently this year as well. They will send you to Asia, where I just went. I came back from Thailand a few months ago, and we plan on going back to defend our championship over there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People might send you to Australia, to Spain, and where I'll be going this year as well. I have a very busy schedule this year,
Yeah,
so
so that's breaking news because we've known about Thailand, and so now you've cracked it open. Tell us about how did you? So for those who don't know, he just mentioned that you're going to race in Spain.
that's correct.
When are you going to Spain?
Everything is still being decided as of right now
Mm-hmm.
because our Moto America season is coming up very shortly,
Mm-hmm.
and we do plan on going back to Asia to defend our championship title. So as of right now, the team they're still working things out with the team out there in Spain, BSB British Superbike. Um, they're just trying to get a date, where everything could work out, where I could compete in Moto America, go to Asia, and go to Spain as well. Um, Back to what we were talking about, the levels of motorcycle
Mm-hmm.
racing. Moto America is the highest level of racing here in the United States, and then you start racing overseas. Overseas, they have World Superbike. If you're 18 and under, you could sign up for the Red Bull Rookie Cup, which you have to qualify to get in. I believe there's only 20 riders, and I think you get 50 or 60 riders that do qualify and try to compete for that, but only 20 gets in. And that's pretty much pre Moto GP when you're under 18 years old. Since I'm 18, I can't compete in Red Bull's Rookie Cup, unfortunately. And then they got Moto 2, Moto 3, which is Moto GP as well. It's bottom tier of Moto GP, and you work your
Mm-hmm.
way up to Moto GP, which is the highest level of motorcycle racing in the world.
Does, so now in MotoGP, is it just basically we're going to use fancy word again? Is it just factory bikes, or are there like is there like 400, 600,000 also?
So MotoGP is non-production bikes, and when I say non-production bikes, that is all factory teams like Kawasaki, Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, Aprilia, Ducati. The list goes on and on. When I say non-production bikes, that's pretty much saying bikes that are not legal to the public. It's not produced to the public. The bike that
Is
I'm
it fair to
currently
say that they're so when we're talking about MotoGP, whereas like 400, 600, MotoGP is basically the companies are so vested in those racers that they pretty much give them their best bikes, and basically whoever has the best bike just wins. There aren't the same rules, basically.
that's pretty much it. Yes, and if you want the same bike that I have or the same bikes that I've ridden in the past, you're eligible to get that bike. They have it, at the showroom floor at a motorcycle dealership. But MotoGP, all of those bikes are non-production. They're built for that rider, specifically for that rider by that factory team.
So top secret stuff, kind of almost.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. So that'd be the ultimate goal.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay, very interesting. So we've got some people here. Tong says hi. We know Tong from Merced. Anthony from Unison says hi. Hi from your Minnesota family.
How you doing, Anthony?
Bobby's here. Bobby says hi from Halo. And we've also got, I'm not sure who this is, Eric Kondo. So Factory Protect Motorcycles.
Yes.
Very good. Well, so one of the things that you said that was really interesting to me was that I asked you at one point how did you get so good, and you said because I fall a lot. And that's a part of the learning, because I guess that's true. If you don't fall, then you don't know how to fall, and I guess you fall enough that you're not afraid to fall anymore. And one of the comments you made to me was like, we talked about MotoGP, and you said, yeah, those high-end riders, they fall a lot, like a couple times, and that's because can you explain why people fall so much and why it's important?
So for me, Eric Kondo, actually, he was one of my instructors. He was the one that commented. For me, I've felt a lot, and I've made a lot of mistakes, in the past, and to this day, I still make a lot of mistakes. I still crash to this day, and even the top riders, top racers in the world, they still crash their motorcycles, 2-3 times in a race weekend. Riders crash because they're pushing their self, they're pushing their skill, they're pushing their luck, they're pushing their bike all the way to the limit, because that's how hard they want to win. They're to the point where they're trying to find that limit. They're trying to find how far and how hard they could push themselves and their bike to find that limit, and to win that race or even win the championship. So crashing, the way I see it, it's part of the sport. Like I told everyone, it's something that's going to happen with everyone, and that's something that's going to happen, in the near future. Us riders, we don't like crashing, but every time we crash, every time something goes wrong, just like life, we learn from those mistakes, and next time we know how to overcome those mistakes as well. So I would say I've crashed a handful of times in my life, and like I mentioned before, we learn from those mistakes, and in the meantime, it does sting and it does hurt, but that's something that's going to happen for every racer out there.
Your dad showed me this footage. We're gonna watch it, and you can give a little bit of commentary while we watch it. So this was during one of your Moto America Junior Cup races, and
energy. Very seldom see him make mistakes.
Kind of self-explanatory.
Aden Thao evidently having some problems, and especially that first time, that out lap on a cool semi-wet.
Did that really hurt? Just kind of curiosity.
Oh yeah, it hurt. I banged my head pretty hard on the concrete, and I was a little disappointed as well, because I know better than that. It was the sighting lap. It was I think it was the first lap out for a qualifying session, and it just rained that night, so there was a huge puddle in the middle of the track, and I look back to all of my crashes, even though they have it on, recorded on live television, and we could go back and we could watch our races and our qualifying. And like right now, I'm just watching that. Something inside me is just like telling me, you know better than that, So,
so when you're racing on this race, and so there's different tires. You tell me, you schooled me on that. There's like your normal slick tires, and then you've got your wet tires. Now, was this a slick or a wet tire then, or
this
like,
was a
like
slick tire? Yes,
slick tire. Okay, so you really knew that. Okay.
Track, you got to get those heat in the tires. Not
I don't think I would have gotten up,
there,
Aden.
but I mean, it's his first circuit around this course.
So you're pretty pissed probably at this point. Yeah, you look like you're pretty pissed.
Oh yeah.
Figure out what portion of the course it is.
Turn 5.
Ooh, got the Snapdragon.
No, I think it's turn 10. We'll run those water spots. Where we were talking about the last couple sessions. Right there on the exit, there's a little water coming out of turn 10, and it looks like he just went through that, and down he went.
So, all the while, is your dad ready? Is he available now?
Want me to go get him?
Yeah, grab your dad. He's
because
watching me right now.
I think he was just waiting for us because we were talking, and I think
have your dad come in. So on my site, I kind of said there was a special guest, and I consider your dad a special guest. Let's have him sit down because
sounds good.
Because the other flip side of this is that a part of your team, a lot of people kind of forget, but a big part of your team is actually your dad. And so Aden, I venture to say that every single time you've fallen, your dad's been there. Is that right? Is that pretty much so?
Hello, people.
Hey, this is Lo. Lo, bay mong có hỗ trợ.
Của your agency.
Xin bay mong chị bé hữu có là
You want me to introduce myself a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, nhớ cho everybody. Của your agency. Của your agency. Của lúc bay mà của một bay lu sang đó, ilu và giờ lâu cái cha thế cái thọ. So của họ lâu cha thọ nó. 就是嘛，老家这些古路啊 ，first name 就是也上门套，这thank you，我做了个好么个路时候，叫老母啊 spend time 一起，你能做多一点咯，家底我做了个 we appreciate it and 莫得呀容易孬咯。ในจอดหลัวเทีย especially yourselfเราหมู่ promotion เทียขอเราหมู่ป้าน the Hmong community especially ลีจอดหลัวลีตู้เอเดียนเราจะนอเจthey're the future so ไปว่าจีลอง it has to be ในจอดหลัวเราหมู่ชิเชิงกาไปเจไปตื้อเราอยู่เลยจะใช่ไหมในเราหมู่ชิเชิงกาในจอดหลัวนะเจgo on behalf of Adens let me thank you to you.
Oh, okay. Well,
and all of the viewers, everybody. Tell Aden, your fans, I'm going to see I'm very proud. I'm very proud of ในจอดหลัวว่าต่อแต่อย่าลงเลยนอเจno matter what ว่ากูว่า Aden สิละกูยังอยู่ support กูยังอยู่ป้าอีปวดใจอยากตัว Aden กูยังอยู่ป้าจีตัว Aden so Aden is just not my son now New York ไปเฉดto brothers sisters to son เฉดเจไปว่าเฉดป้าช่างกันเนอะ so กูว่าเนอะจีเจกูกัดแต่ว่าโจI'm very thankful for ตันทอนในเฉดจอดหลัวเทียeverybody your views เด้อเดียในหอนาถือจอด Aden you guys are thinking about Aden so กูยังจีเจกู I'm very happy, and I wish that we could do a lot more things together, and not for better older generations, no, but nature younger generations, no, there for Aden law. Hopefully that you guys will carry our Hmong names and
Yeah.
help one another onto the future. So thank you so much, Long,
Yeah.
for ก็ที่ก็ขอ Hmongoose ขอโชว์หน่อยเนาะ okay.
Well, we have people here saying hi to you already, Lo. So Joe Moa is from North Carolina. He says hi to you, and we have Ong Chai Tao.
Yes.
Maybe they're related to you guys. He says Nyojong also. But you now you're what people don't know is that it's not just Aden. It's Aden and the team. Aden's got his own dedicated mechanic from Kawasaki, and he's got you, and you're always there. And the reason why I wanted you to specifically come on there and talk to, because you watch Aden fall, and not only are you're not just some random guy, you're actually Aden's dad watching your son potentially get hurt. What it must take a lot to watch your son fall. What's it like for you as a father, and what kind of reassurance you get when Aden falls? Maybe there's technology or something.
Well, let me rephrase couple questions, not Miji.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
First of all, let's go back when God created this world, Adam and Eve. So, just like I created Aden's my son. I ride myself. I ride motorcycle as well, but I don't race professionally like Aden.
Yeah.
So I just know how to ride, just like normal people does on the street. Li bây giờ nhiều Hmong bây giờ cái team Hmong này là bảo chạy mô tô. Yes, I love motorcycle. I love motorcycle, and I've been riding on my childhood, but I have never had the intention of trying to pursue because I could never think that these things could be a career because it's such a hard thing. Purely, if you look up on motorcycle racing, MotoGP, they would have said being a professional motorcycle racers, such as Marquez and Valentino Rossi and them in MotoGP, you will have better chance of getting drafted to NBA and NFL besides going to MotoGP in the motorcycle racing world.
Yeah.
So motorcycle racing world, there's millions of them, but they only pick one per year to be in the professional level in MotoGP.
Wow.
So they said, "GoKart career, you rather go trying to pursue NBA or NFL?" But as we all know, being NBA, NFL, that's so hard already, So your dream that we think that we could never reach, but back to the story, Aden Yakututu, I do know how to ride, but when he turns 15, he wanted a bike. So I said, okay, I get him a bike. So I get him a Kawasaki Ninja 250, a trainer bikes. And then I'm the first one to clear how to stabilize the bike and how to ride on the bike, how to twist and turn on the bike. But besides that, I'm not an expert. I won't know how to help him to pursue his career. So since the ball go onto another level, which on the it's out of my reach. And then being See, I'm very proud that he learned in such a short time that he would have become such a gifted kid that he could just like go into they started out with club racings,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be amateur in club racings, and then you have to be like the top five in order for you to even move up to being an expert. And then when you become an expert, you have to become like another top five riders, and then you have to achieve all of your points, and you have to be like the top three to even be considered uh, racing in the professional
Yeah.
level. So just like
So when you're writing this question for both of you, maybe go with C and Aiden, you as a racer, at what point did you begin to notice that, hey, I'm really good at this? Like I'm pretty good at this. Like, so here's the one thing I noticed. So I went out to Button. So those who don't know, I can personally testify, but only you guys know the history. I went out to Button Willow, not expecting to know, because Hmong phải nói mà mình cảm Hmong sai cực kỳ này, that's fair to say. You
right.
see, but when I went to Button Willow, everyone wanted to know. Everybody wanted to say hi to Aiden, more or less. Like people walked by and they knew who you were because you were Moto America, but um it's a little bit different. It's not like you Mutsoto and no one really knows who Aiden is. It seemed like he went over there and everybody knew who Aiden was. But Aiden, at what point, when did you finally realize that I'm pretty good at this?
Well, let me since I'm here, gonna see go take a look.
Yeah.
Um, uh, way before the you know Aiden Pocha Mato Nupinia, and then no more no opportunity friend le professional Moto America racers. So le young me Omega, and then le Tinton that's what got him into the racing. So bây giờ mình mong nó là dân mua cái trong tù that là dân bóc chạm mà tổ the thế và của nó chỉ về của dân và appreciate ý là mùa va thế và bắt chùa xóa là chân đó là cho mình mong là chạm mà tổ put our 80s law to lúc chạy đó, and then là mua cái họ encourage và hệ you know lỡ nhiều mà to hơn lỡ mua she sang trying to get into the motorcycle racing industry, but then bây giờ mình mong được cái no matter how far we go giờ thổ bây mua new nè bây mua age là cái we can't go far, you know bây mua chỉ cho họ thôi là. But then dòng xe thì lỡ cô nhớ trong đó papa tôi Aiden thế chạy tôi Aiden thì là get so excited and join the team and trying to see how far he go, but then nữ họ mua họ gift chạy nữ họ một tàu day hàng lợ nè, so còn tới giờ ít họ thì it's very unexplainable that there's a gift. I mean, everybody love to get drafted into football, you know, NFL, NBA, motorcycle, MotoGP. Then I foresee that that's a very hard step to go, but it's very gifted that Aiden actually, you know, suddenly actually moved off pro division only not. So that I being his dad could just still she don't understand that I think I'm better than him, but I don't know. I think I could ride better than him, but I guess of what I see him out there, so
Yeah.
I have to just support my son.
Yeah, let's go to some comments here. So Ong Chai, he makes an interesting comment. He says, "I noticed that Aden raced with my ASI for ROTC, Ryan Peterson." So I don't know if that name
Yeah.
rings a bell or anything, but he says small world. Does that sound like anybody you know?
Oh yeah, Ryan Peterson. That is a very small role. Yeah, Ryan Peterson. He does race with me at a lot of the club races here in California, and he's the one that runs Feel Like a Pro, which is a motorcycle rental company out at the track. So yeah, that is a big coincidence actually.
Small world. And then Chang said, "Yo, Hmong." Okay, very good.
Yeah, Ryan Peterson new Lomo take over last year and this year for the Ilu Lu company, the who feels like a pro. So what they do was move at the track and mua mà tổ non tàu nè. So mua là cho mà tổ the rent for people that doesn't have their own machine. So có phải rent ni lu mà tổ it's just like a rental car. So in other words, for people to understand is they take all of the fleet out there, just like rental motorcycle out there for those people to come and test it and to race on it. But if you crash on it, you pay for everything.
Okay.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap. I mean, you're talking about each weekend. No, you're just spending $3,000 rental the bike and pray that you don't crash, because if you crash the bike, you pay for the whole bike. So the bike is like $9,000.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, Brian Peterson's he's a very good friend of us. Nữ dân sponsors nữ dân pa to Aden Lân Tao Hằng, and he's also a racer too. But then lỡ chi racers, lỡ chi cho pro division like Aden. Aden's in the pro division. Họ lỡ chọn đỡ chạy, lỡ chi cho pro division.
Yeah. So Chang says, "Thank you for the knowledge." He's reading the subtitles while we speak Hmong, but Aden and Lo, the one thing that always blows my mind is that you guys are always so open to. This is answering questions, but it's actually teaching, because there's a lot of misinformation in the Hmong community, or lack of information, lack of knowledge about motorcycle racing. So I do want to sincerely thank you guys. I think a lot of the people watching, they're probably learning quite a bit, because you guys are sharing so much information about the sport that I think auto ambassador for the sport of Hmong, because most Mika about riding and racing. So I really do appreciate you guys coming here. We've got our first guest who wants to ask Aden a question in person. So he's a longtime watcher. His name is Chris from Seattle. So Aden, you have a fan from Seattle watching you, and he's gonna ask you a question. I don't know what he's gonna ask, but he's gonna ask you. So let's welcome Chris. Chris, how are you?
Hey, Chris.
We're coming to the ridge.
How successful you are, so follow okay, your journey, how I think is the best way to say, right? So my first question is, a lot of it Hmong community snapshot being successful right now only, right? But what they don't see is the hurdles and the troubles that you guys gone to get to here. So are you able to explain some of those hurdles that you guys came across, and how you guys overcame it to get to this point in time?
Yep. Since go qua agency nó chạy go tay got let me answer your question, so it'll be more clearly and truly to everybody as the viewers. racing is not cheap. I always tell people, if you're on drugs and you're on cocaine and narcotic, you rather go and be a drug addict. That's more cheaper than trying to be a motorcycle professional racers, because each week it'll cost you at least $5,000 per week. So I don't think a drug addict will eventually spend that kind of money. But being a motorcycle racers, it's very hard, and with all this obstacle that we have to go through, that's why a lot of people, and I told many of the interviews that they interview Aden, and then they turn around and ask me, hey, when are we gonna see another Hmong professional riders like Aden out there? And I said, I could see another Sunisa pretty soon, maybe next year or the next Olympics. In 4 more years, we will see another Hmong like Sunisa. But I think in 4 more years, I could guarantee that we will not see a Hmong motorcycle racers that are in the pro division and international level like Aden. Why? Is because I know the hardship. The hardship with your question is it costs so much money, and I mean all of these things. Like I was telling Aden, if you want a Lamborghini, you want a Ferrari, I could get that to you in a year, because it'll cost me $150,000. But your racing, it costs nearly $200,000 per year. So if you want a Lamborghini every year or any other typical cars, exotic cars, hey, there you go. You don't need a race. You could have all these cars, but he decided not to have an exotic car. He don't tends to want a Ferrari. He don't tends to want any other cars, but he rather just ride his bike and race. So that's where all the money goes. But it's very hard to see another Hmong professional motorcycle racers. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there's a lot of the other riders out there, Li Pecho Hmong in North Carolina, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and here in California. I mean, there's thousands of but the thing is, I don't foresee that you put out $100,000 or $200,000 and said, here, Aden, I give you $200,000 here as a father, go and race.
Yeah. Hey, Lo, so
very hard.
As a person who doesn't know anything, who knows a little bit now, because I know that if I'm confused, they're definitely confused, because I didn't understand until I went to see you race. And if you watch one of my videos, there's an instance where you actually talk about just Aden's tires. And so you told me that those tires are about basically $400 or more each. Yep. And that he can only ride about maybe 6 to 12 laps on those tires. So he goes through a bunch of sets of tires. And so so if I'm understanding you right, then Lo, you're saying that it's because it's very hard to see another Aden Thao, because no one's dad is as crazy as you are to put in that money in to make it work, because it's such an expensive sport. I've said a couple of times that, you know, he's going to be I think he's going to eventually be the equivalent similar to Suni Lee, except the sport's very different. Suni Lee just pays for maybe travel and coaching and whatnot, but Aden, he has to keep his bike. And you know, you told Aden's bike at one point. I asked you, how much is Aden's bike? If I went to Kawasaki and bought it, maybe you told me maybe, I don't know, 9,000. But then all the modification on Aden bike, it's at least a $30,000-$40,000 routine. And then when Aden falls, then it needs a repair. And so that's why I think so what you're saying is that it's not that Jimoning or your game or Aiden, maybe there is, maybe probably there isn't,
Yeah.
but it's because it's so expensive, and that's why I think and that's part of the reason why you guys already seen on Rise and on Minnesota. There's going to be a fundraiser, and I'll plug that in for you guys now because it's a good time to plug it. And that the Aiden new mong tu te đó mong参加 Aiden 移民 days now. Because it's hard because I watch you guys Aiden mo tu lo hanya ko with him all the whole entire time supporting him. Aiden, you're right. So he needs a mechanic, and Aiden is very talented. Your company do provide Aiden Kenghang, your Kawasaki do provide your bike to a certain extent. There's a lot of sponsors for him, but again, it's so hard because it's kind of it's overwhelming sometimes.
Right. Yeah, that's correct because like what you just said, they're very talented. Like back in the war, let me rephrase this a little bit just to got your viewers back in the war, when during the Second War of Laos, Vietnam War, they desperately need Hmong is like Stone Age. And then they could train 3,000 of Hmong in 3 days to go and be the Rangers and go into the battlefield. That's how good Hmong is. That's how good Hmong Lung Bei is. So Li Aiden, yes, but it all comes to the end of the day that how much you sacrifice, how much your parent is willing to sacrifice with you, how much is you're willing to sacrifice all of your life for your son and then for your kid. We have houses, we have properties. Eventually, when Aiden got into pro, I have to even take out what do you call refinancing? I'm not in the mortgage or marketing that, so I don't know, but we have to take a mortgage loan. Whatever we have in the asset there, we have to take all of our mortgage loan from our property and our home just to support Aiden's. And nobody will see the hardship. And just like you come and see Aden at the track, and a lot of the views, they come over and they go, wow, you guys are here Wednesday night, Thursday you guys set up, Friday testing, qualifying, Saturday race, Sunday race. That's 5 days at the track, and we sleep there in our trailer, and we eat there. And what do we eat? We eat. It's good that Aiden's he's the youngest generation who was born here, but it's good that he learns to eat kung fu noodle. So yeah, we have kung fu noodle, mama noodle.
I'll confess that they stayed there, Chris. They stayed. I left. I went back home, and then I drove back up. But they couldn't leave. So
yeah,
I saw firsthand. Is that everything that Lo is saying is absolutely true. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's all we eat. So you have to be at the track. You have to sacrifice yourself. How many of the parents out there are willing to sacrifice, like myself and Aiden's mom, to take your son out there, call off work, be out there on Friday, and then set up on Thursday, and then put all his bike together as you see, and prepare for Friday testing and qualifying. And then now you gotta cook for him, and you gotta make everything. We just sleep in the trailers, and I mean we just eat what we can, and we just eat kung fu noodles, mama noodles, and that will get us through the weekend. So that's a sacrifice that we sign into it, and that's a sacrifice that we have to do it. So a lot of people I know, and I have worked with the Hmong community for such a long year, so I know how our society is, and that's very hard for somebody to try to sacrifice like that.
Yeah. So Chris, I don't know if you were expecting such an in-depth answer, but you know, I think Lo, if we let him, he'll go on. There's so much that Lo sacrificed
It's a different type of interview. That's why I bring these questions up. You know.
Yeah. Hey, Aden, we haven't heard from you. I mean, you know, chime in. What has been challenging for you?
Chris, I got the easy part. I just gotta make sure I'm ahead of my school, and you know, I'm staying physically in shape, you know, to ride a bike, and you know, like my dad said, you know, I'm very thankful I have parents like this that supports me so much with you know, with my career now. You know, if you think about it, my parents and all of my supporters are the actual winners of the race. You know, I get the easy part of the job. My dad, he's the one that drives me to the track while I'm sleeping in the car. He's the one that cooks me food. He's the one that's working on my bike when I crash it. You know, he's the one making sure my bike is running good. I do nothing but, you know, hang out, sleep, and rest until it's my time to go. My time to go out there and race. And like I tell everyone, and what my dad is saying is completely true. You know, how much sacrifice are you going to put into, you know, your son or your daughter to do this kind of sport? And like I tell everyone, as I get older, you know, I'm 18 now, I start to understand it, and I start to see that, you know, money doesn't come easy, and all of this is very hard as a parent. So yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Okay, Chris, I'm assuming you have more questions.
I have one more.
Yeah, one more. Okay, let's go to the next question.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I know with athletes, they have they have a lifespan, right? You know, as you see with like quarterbacks and, you know, top athletes, eventually they fall off. Do you have a transition plan that you're thinking about? Like in case you do get hurt, or, you know, you don't make it, is there some other transition plan that you have in mind to roll into?
Well, that's why let me clarify this for Aden on your questions. Every sport is like what you said, but that's why a lot of people, Aden has a lot of friends, and we respect all of this Hmong friends all around the United States that they like to ride on the street and all of those. And I mean, they got gorgeous bike. I mean, their bike is gorgeous and everything. But for Aden, being a father and some of his sponsors, there's certain things that he can ride on the street, and a lot of his friends would have invited him to, hey, let's cruise down to the ocean for a day, but that's against Aden's contract. He can't just hop on the bike and ride on the street, because if he would get injured by a car or a pothole or oil spills on the road, and if his injury and he need a race, and he accepted the contract with his sponsors such as Kawasaki and many other sponsors, then now they're gonna drop him right away because he missed the race. So that's why Aden can't go and ride on the street, because that's like nobody's fault if you get hurt on the street. So that's gonna be your fault only. So that's why we won't allow him to ride on the street. If he want to ride, we'll take his bike to the track, and that's when he could ride. He could speed 200 miles per hour. He could crash whatever he wants to crash at the racetrack, and that's the way to go. And I'm being Adens Dad and all of the sponsors, we make sure that we promote this very well, not to promote people's riding on the street, because it's pretty dangerous on the street. I mean, it's it's very nice, and friends all gathering together, cruising around the streets. But then, being a professional like Aden's, you cannot risk your life of, one day, and then it's gonna ruin the rest of your life. So that's a contract that he have with them. So if he get injured, to answer your questions, if he get injured, he's out. He's out of the game, and it depends on how bad his injury is. Just like this weekend, they're having a MotoGP in Texas, and the professional MotoGP, the highest world ranking motorcycle racer in the world, Marquez and them, all of them gonna be there in Texas for the MotoGP race. But Marquez can't be there because he crashed. He crashed doing his race in Malaysia last week, so he wasn't able to perform. So he has to skip this round and the next round as well. So now that's very upsetting himself and all of the sponsors, because instead of thousands of people that's going to come and see all of the sponsors brand name to Marquez, now all of their brand name of sponsoring Marquez is all gone, and Marquez, he can't be well out there. So that's something that it's very important for being a professional motorcycle racers, because if you don't have that kind of common sense and you don't try to keep yourself well, you're just gonna screw it up in one day, and you're done.
All right, Chris. Thanks for the questions, Chris.
Yep.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you for always participating. Until next time, my friend.
Yep.
Chris, we'll see you at the Ridge.
Yeah. There's a question here that Cheng asked earlier, and it's relevant because we're talking about how the sport is. And he asked, how do you protect or avoid yourself from the crash, since it's a pretty dangerous sport?
You can answer that.
So most of all of our crashes that we get into, a lot of it comes down to our gear, our suits that we're wearing, our helmets that we're wearing, our gloves, our boots, our back protectors, our airbags. In this picture right here, I'm actually wearing an airbag on my suit right there that has just deployed because I was connected to a cable onto the bike, and it's just like a car airbag, where if it detects a certain movement or detects a certain incident, then the airbag will deploy just like a car. Long, when did you want to for me to show my helmet or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I asked Aden earlier to show us one of his helmets, and basically, I mean, how many times do you think you've fallen?
Well, for Aden, oh man,
Too many to count.
being his father, I could tell you guys this. All of the viewers this. When Aden started out, he doesn't crash much. Okay, when you started out, you don't crash much, but when you're start knowing the sports and you start pushing, when you start pushing, just like basketball players, when you know all of those drills, then now you're trying to slam dunk, and when you're trying to reach that rings and trying to slam dunk, you gotta have another kind of techniques for you to do that. So you're gonna push yourself to reach to that point. So in order for you to reach to that point, to slam dunk in that ring, you have to push yourself. And by doing that, every riders will crash. Those riders that doesn't crash, and being his father, I don't want him to crash. And it's out of the questions. But being in the professional level, or if you want to pursue this as your career, if you don't crash, that means you're not doing your best.
Probably down in
okay?
corner here
So you have to do your best
That's it. Yep.
in
55
order
Aden Thao out of 9th place.
for you to be up there. So you
Unfortunately for
do your
Aden,
best.
he is
You have to
down in the
crash.
dirt. As corner workers there
And if
immediately
you
to
don't
help
crash,
him
that means
pick that motorcycle up.
You're not
and
working
get him
hard
back
enough.
in the race.
you're not working hard enough because
So
you are
for
afraid.
Aden
Yeah,
Thao,
because if you're going through that corner,
Probably going to be a front ender grade, I would
just
think,
like the
coming
video
down
that
ahead,
you
'cause
put
he just
on, if
loses
he's
the
going
front,
through that
slides
corner
off.
and he wants to
The
beat
bike
those
didn't
4
flip, so
guys,
that's good. That's
he
good.
got to push
Means that,
2
if he
times
stayed on his
harder.
left side the whole time, maybe he can get that
And
thing
then
back
when
up
he
and at
pushed
least
2 times
finish the
harder,
last race of the year. You can
he's
see
gonna
in a big
crash.
battle with about 5 or 6 other guys there.
Yeah.
So if he's afraid to crash, he's not gonna push, and he'll just go through the whole race. But if he wants to be the best out there and being a father, like I said, I'd never like to see any other riders that crash or my son crash. But hey, this is a sport. If you're afraid of it, you can't do it. Just like a lot of the young kids said, if you don't have balls, then you can't do it. Yeah, because I could ride, and I'll ride with Aden at the track, but I will not crash because I'm afraid to push. If I push through those corners, 90 miles to 100 miles per hour, I know I don't have that skill, and I'm afraid to push. So I'm gonna slow down, and then I'll just pass through. But if I want to be up there on the podium, I gotta push 150 miles per hour through that corner. And even though I crashed this time, I will learn from it, and the next time I won't crash. So, like all professional riders, even Marquez and Cameron Bobier in them, they're the top. Nobody can catch up to them, and they're like way ahead. Why do they crash? And then if you're looking at the video of the motorcycle racing, and then they're way ahead, just like Aden, he's way ahead, and then you'll see him crash, and you're gonna go, "What is that stupid? Nobody is catching up to you. Why did you crash? You could just slowly and finish up, and there it goes. You take the podium, your first place." But that's not the point. The point is he's not racing just all of those riders because he's so fast. He have to race himself. He have to race himself. Even though he's the fastest one and everybody is all behind, he needs to push to the limit and beat his time. Not just winning, coming to the finishing line. He has to beat the best time as well. He needs to break the record. If he don't break the record and he just like, trying to cross the finish line and take first place, that's not gonna do him any good. So nobody can catch up to him, but he has to race himself. Nobody's racing with him when he is on top, but he have to race himself.
So let's talk track records because I know at least from what he's told me, he's number one. The first thing that I know about Aden is that at least at Button Willow, he holds the track record for the 400, that's quite an amazing feat. For those who don't know, that means that on that track, no one goes faster on a lap than Aden on the 400. Correct?
Right.
And he also set a record in Thailand too.
Right.
Yes, that's correct. I believe I currently hold 4 or 5 track records here in the United States. I do hold one at Bunt Willow
and Minnesota Brainerd
I
International.
hold one at Brainerd International. I hold one at Chuckwalla, and I hold one at Willow Springs, and now Thailand. So that makes 5 track records. And back to what I believe Chang was mentioning earlier. How do we stay safe? Because
your helmet, yes.
Yeah, we kind of went off on that. I actually have one of my crashed helmets here, and you can kind of tell that it's been scratched up here. it's been scratched on the visor. The visor is it doesn't clip onto the helmet no more. In the videos that that Long was showing us, sometimes you will see that I'm in a different suit. Sometimes in a white suit. Sometimes I'm in a black suit. I'm in a green one. All the suits, they serve the same purpose. All of our suits are made out of very heavy leather. Leather is very heavy and it's very hard to cut through. So when we're as in the video, as we're sliding on pavement, that keeps us safe. There's a lot of paddings on the shoulders, on the elbows, on.
Aiden, how heavy is one of those suits?
The suit could range anywhere from 15 to 25 pounds.
Wow.
I think one time.
No, it's more.
With everything that we have on, with the helmet, with the boots, with the gloves, with the back protector, with the airbag, it could range from like 30 to 35 pounds of gear that we have on. So, a lot of incidents that happens on the street, and we hear about all these casualties that happen and deaths on the street is because they're not well equipped and they're not well suited up as the gear that we have when we're out racing. So that's what's keeping us safe is our helmet. My helmet right here, it's full carbon fiber shell. It's one of the best helmets on the market. And the suit that we wear, they're required to have a certain rating on our suits and our helmets to keep us safe. That is allowed on the track. So all of our equipment, all of our gear is not cheap as well.
How much is a suit? So okay, so you fall, the airbags deploy. Can you use that suit again?
Yes, you can use the suit again. Sometimes the suit rips right through and you get road rash, but sometimes most of the times the suits, they do last a very long time. They could last multiple crashes. Helmets are a one-time thing. Helmets, if they fall, they hit the ground, then it's time to get a new helmet. My helmet.
How much is a good suit, and how much is like a good helmet cost?
Good. It really depends because my helmet, I have one of the best helmets on the market. My helmet is $1,500. I have the AGV Pista, and that's just for the helmet. We have different visors that we run, different cheek pads that we run, different spoilers that we put onto our helmets. Suits can range anywhere from $800 to $4,000 depending on if it's a custom suit, if it's custom fitting for you. And go ahead.
Yeah, let me clarify your question so everybody will understand more. Everything is like brand name as well. Long, just like the helmet that Aden has on here. This is AGV. So AGV, this is made and created by Rossi Valentino. He's like the Superman hero of motorcycle racing in the highest world level of motorcycle racing in the world.
So that's like buying Michael Jordan tennis shoes then.
Yeah, right. So this is like Michael Jordan's tennis shoes. So it's very expensive. So a helmet like this will cost $1,500 to $2,000 just for the helmet. So Aden was mentioned, if you crash once, you can't really use it, but the helmet is still very protective and very good. But by law, is once you crash and you got scratched on the helmet, they don't know what the inside of the building material could hold another crash. So they prefer, for safety reason, you get another one. So that's how it is. But for the suit, for all of the racing suits, they made out of kangaroo hides and cow hides. So the kangaroo hides is very expensive. Just for a regular suit that is not custom made for you, that's like $2,000. And if it's customized to fit you perfectly, that's like $4,000. And that's kangaroo hide. The difference between kangaroo hides and cow hides is the kangaroo, as you guys know, kangaroo is very tough, but they're soft. So you could flexible, you can move with it. But with the cow hides, it's thick and it protect you very well too, but you can't really have that much of a maneuvers within your body. So that's the difference, and that's the price that you have to pay for it. But then a lot of the suit nowadays, they have airbags, just like cars. They have airbags, and it'll attach to your. There's a wire that attach your suit to your bike, and if you would have fall off the bike, and then that plugs pull off, it automatically deployed, and then all the airbags will puff up, and then you'll walk like a hawk. You know, you'll be walking like a hawk, but that will only protect you in certain way, okay, in certain way of how you crash. And if everybody that rides on the street, that if you drive down the street and if you see all those motorcycle riders out on the street, if they would have the protective helmet and the right gear on, I guarantee you they don't speed on the street here 150 miles per hour like how they race. If they could survive 150 miles per hour crashing on the track and walked away with it, like some of the video that you put on Aden, if they would have crashed out here like how you put those video of Aden here crashing on the street, they'll never get up no more because they don't have the proper gears. And the helmet, they could have the best helmet, but the body, it's totally different because they're not having the right gears. I mean, all of the glove, it's like metal, you know, it's metal that it can rupture through even your knuckles. You can't break your knuckles and all of those stuff. But when a lot of people will get injury in motorcycle racing, and everybody does. Everybody does. Like Marquez and Valentino, they're like the Superman in racing in the motorcycle professional world. Read their story. They crash over 300-400 times and they'll walk away. Yes, they're mostly half of the body's bones has been fractured, but they walked away and they still are stars. But hey, you know, that's what they sign up for. And a lot of people ask me your questions like, hey, that's your son. I mean, aren't you afraid of it and all those? Being a father, and I will not just tell you this or Aden this, but I'll tell all of the viewers and everybody that if you're just looking just to ride for fun, don't ride. Because money is the problem. Accident is another problem. And you're just going to cause a lot of yourself into a lot of motion distress. But if you want this to become a professional career for you, then you have to sacrifice.
Yeah.
So it comes to the point that my son, Aden, he wants to become a professional racer in motorcycle world. And he wants this to become his career. So being his dad, I am like the first Hmong pilot that flies jet plane here in the United States. And I flies commercially planes, and there's no other Hmong people that actually flies airplane like myself. But when I start flying, my dad and everybody would tell me, aren't you afraid that the airplane, the engine shut down, and you're just gonna fall like a rock? And it's not like a car that you can just pull over to the side and then, you know, walk away. The plane, you can walk away. But, you know, what I tell everybody, and I told my parents as well, that's why I signed up for it. And that's the destiny that I have to do. And if my destiny don't put me that way, I can't be that way. So Aiden's being my son, I do believe that there is faith, and I do encourage everybody to follow their dreams. The most impossible and the most dangerous sports in the world, you have to try it. If that's your destiny, if you're born to be that, just like yourself, Long, you guys are very popular being the Paradise Band and all of this stuff. And I mean, people look up to you guys, and you guys started out all this music for all of this newer generations of this Hmong community.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I would try to be like you, being an artist of musicians, I can't, because I have to sacrifice so much to trying to play music like you, and to trying to understand all of this music notes and all of this stuff. So it's really not easy to do that. But if we sign up for it, and if that's our destiny for us to be there, then that's our destiny.
Yeah.
But if that's not our destiny, no matter what we do, we can't be there.
Yeah, because when I look at Aden, it's not that Aiden's trying. He's not just trying really hard. No, he's got a natural gift for it, and so it's not just that he's working hard. It's because he's actually naturally good at it. I mean, for him to ride at 15 and a couple months or a month later become pro, that means that he's lapping people. He's much more gifted. There was a comment here that said that he's probably joking, but if you can do 200 miles per hour for long periods of time, you're going to get sponsors. We want to address that, but let's talk about how hard is it for Aden to get sponsors, or is it getting easier and easier?
Let me clarify this. In this motorcycle racing world, here in the United States, especially, especially here in the United States, it doesn't, the industry of the motorcycle racing industry, they don't promote and they don't give out sponsorship as much as like NASCAR. They're more into NASCAR, and they're not into motorcycle. They're more into NASCAR. So motorcycle racing industry in this era of time here in the United States, you can't really foresee so much sponsorship that's going to come into you. So even though you're the best riders, we see so many of the professional riders that Aden raced with, and all of the Moto America riders, those top, they're amazing. They're when you look at them, they're not like human beings, because they're just like 200 miles per hour down the track, and they could survive that. So they're just like a machine, but they're that good. But they don't have no sponsors. Why? Is because the industry of the motorcycle racing world here in the United States, it's not that much money that is going toward into the motorcycle industry, because and why? Because you have to do the best you can. Like Aden now, he's like one of the top guys here. So his next step is to move upward into FIM internationally. So when you go internationally, as you guys can see, in Europe, majority it's motorcycle. In Asia, that's the majority of motorcycle. So all these factory teams such as Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Ducati, and all of this brand name, they tends to put a lot of money in Europe and Asia, because all of this economy of them buying those bike in Asia,
I see,
Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki, and all of those, they will profit 85 to $100,000 a year. But here in the United States, maybe it's only like $15 million that they sold their motorcycle here in the United States. And in Europe, it's the same as Asia. So that's where all the factory money is gearing toward for it. So you have to be very good here in the United States, and then you move into Asia and Europe. So you could be able to be on the factory team. Factory teams means it's not of what you see at the track of what you see Aden over there, that he has his mechanic there and what they're just helping him. When he goes into the factory team, that's like Honda, Kawasaki, whichever that they sponsor him, then he's representing totally them, and they have unlimited parts. You could crash 20 times in a day, and you could torn up that bike that costs $50,000 to $100,000. They'll put it back. They'll just pull a brand new bike for you, and money is never the problem. Parts is never the problem. They got unlimited spare parts. But for us, and one of your questions that you asked, a bike that they would just buy off from the dealership. Yes, Aden is riding on the 400, and the 400cc bikes. It doesn't cost much. It's only $9,000. $9,000, but that does not mean you could just ride it like that. When you buy that bike, you gotta torn down that bike and mostly throw out everything of that bike. And then you have to put all of the aftermarket parts, suspensions, shocks, tires, all of the aftermarket where you can make the bike turn into those corners. All of those bikes that you got from the dealers that you see them riding on the street, they will not make it through all those turns and all those cornering at the track. When you go into the cornering without changing all of those suspensions and shocks, it's the same as cars. You guys know how car is. You want to raise a car? Yes, you could buy a Porsche, you could buy a Honda Civic, Integra, whatever, but that car is not going to perform at the track. So you have to modify everything. So you buy the bike for $9,000, and all of those aftermarket modification onto the bike will cost nearly $30,000. And with that $30,000, you take the bike out there and test it, and your rider pushed so hard in one corner and crashed it. There it goes. $30,000 down the drain. You're done. Now we gotta get another bike that will cost another $30,000.
Yeah. So Aden is sponsored by Kawasaki. Aden falls, he crashes. How much does Kawasaki 8红到?
They pay some contingency every time when he wins. Kawasaki will pay in contingency. Like it depends on certain of the event that they host. Certain events they'll pay more, and certain events they'll pay less. But then, like Aden, he could only ride on the brand name. He could ride on the 400, 600, 1000, but it has to be on the Kawasaki. Because if he wants them to sponsor him and get paid by them, he has to be on their bike and represent them. So they pay pretty much. They pay pretty much, and just like Dunlop tires, there's a lot of tires out there like Pirelli, Dunlop, and Bridgestone, just like cars. But he could only ride on Dunlop and Kawasaki, because if he wins, Dunlop pays him additional money. Kawasaki will pay him additional money. So all of those will add up for his pay period that he raced. So being a professional motorcycle racer, you could earn pretty good of money, but how you gonna get there until when you earn that kind of salary?
Yeah.
By the time when you earn that kind of salary, like Aden, being his Aden's dad, and I share this with all of the viewers and all of those motorcycle riders out there. Each year, Aden will cost $150,000 to $200,000. So within a Hmong community, I know they're very educated, they're very great people, but we're still in the middle to the lower class.
Yeah.
So not a lot of the people could eventually help their sons or their daughter with $150,000 to $200,000 per season. Season, it's like 8 months, okay, out of the year. So with the 8 month, you're paying for your son to raise. It'll cost you $100,000. So that's the hardest part that I see a lot of the great racer kids out there, that they are super good, but when their parent can't come up with the money no more, then they're done. When sponsors, like I have mentioned, United States motorcycle, they spend more money into NASCAR instead of motorcycle. So there's not that much of a money into the motorcycle racing world. So you have to do of what Aden does. You got to take a lot of championship here in the United States, because United States, as all you guys know, code, is the most advanced country in the world. So if you achieve here in the United States, other countries will look at you like, hey, there goes a United States, a USA riders. We'll pick him up. Kawasaki was said, hey, look, ride for me in Thailand. I'll pay you $10,000 per race, and we'll give you bike, we'll give you everything. So that's how you could be able to make this a career, because here in the United States, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, nobody's gonna say, hey, Long, come and ride for me and I'll pay you $10,000. No, it's you will hardly see anybody like that. We know the best rider here in the United States of America. Yeah.
Are there any American riders in MotoGP?
Not right now. The last one is Nicky Hayden, right?
Yeah.
Nicky Hayden, he's from Kentucky, and he's the last MotoGP American racers. And I mean, he's good. He's very good, but he's not on the top like Rossi and Marquez yet. But well, actually, he's one of the best ones that represent the United States of America in MotoGP. So he's very good, but when he was training in Spain, getting ready for his race, all of these motorcycle racers, they always have to keep themselves in shape. So one morning he went jogging, and they always go jogging early in the morning. So he went jogging in Italy, and then a car came by and just smashed him.
Wow.
And smashed into him. So they brought his body back and buried here in the United States. And then he's like the last MotoGP representing the United States of America. And Cameron Bobier, which a good friend of Aden, and he raced with Aden then in Moto America. He's the next championship, the best rider here in the United States. But he's been accepted to race internationally in Spain, and the MotoGP. They call it's like a pre-MotoGP.
Mm-hmm.
So he did got into pre-MotoGP, but even the best one, he's still not making like the top 5 riders out there as well. So that's Cameron Bowie. It's one of the next American MotoGP, but from seeing last year and this year's, United States not gonna have another MotoGP until maybe a couple more
Or
years.
Aden. Or Aden.
Yeah, so it's very hard because in the motorcycle racing world, number one industry in the racing world here in United States, it's not where the money is, okay? But you will get like the best licensing and you will get the best experience here before you move on, okay? And then secondly, all of these riders out there, they tends to as you as a sponsors, like sponsoring to Adens, you would like to sponsors like a younger riders. They will not really look at you when you're like more of a 19, 20, 22, 23 years old. You have to be pro by the time you'll be lucky if you're 25 years old and they still pick you up. Right. Otherwise, you could be the best riders, but none of the sponsors will pick you up at that age.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a very young age. It's 24, 25. I mean, that's still a young adults. But a lot of the sponsors will not pick you up. If you gonna be picked up by sponsors, you gotta be young like Aden, 17, 18 years old.
So 25 is considered old in your sport.
Oh yeah. So the sponsor is not gonna put $100,000 into somebody that has a family already. So a lot of people don't understand that in this economy world, and it's very hard because just like playing, football, basketball, it's the same thing. All of those teams, when they draft you, I mean, they draft you out of college or high school. But when you're already been playing college and you're 24, 25 years old and you haven't been drafted to NBA or NFL, you're done. Nobody's going to draft you no more. So motorcycle, it's even worse than that. Yeah, it's even worse than that. So if they're going to invest $1 million to you, they got to draft you when you're 19, 20 years old into the professional racing world, especially international. Otherwise, nope. Even being a sponsor like myself, I will not sponsor any riders out there that's like 24, 25 years old, because my money that I invested in that riders, it maybe only for 1 year. And he has family, he has issues, he has to deal with his family, and he can't afford to miss his time with his family, all those stuff. So when he's gonna push to the fullest to take that championship, he's gonna back off. He's gonna back off because if he push over the limit, he's gonna crash and he's gonna get hurt. He's gonna be hospitalized. So being older, that's the mentality that you have in your mind. So a lot of the sponsors, they do understand psychology of human beings. So that's why you gotta pick up somebody young like Aden and them that they're just like sacrificing themselves for it,
Yeah.
and then
Put
it'll
it
work.
all out. Yeah.
Right. So that's a business concept. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just
We've got
saying.
a question here. They're asking, are you the one behind Cali Shine? I think that's what this person is asking.
Well, actually, yes. Thank you for the questions. Actually, the Kelly Shine is Kelly Shine Import Productions. That's run by Chapik Lee, several young Chapik Lee, and Aden's oldest brother Aden Thao. They runs the Kelly Shine Import Productions, which they deals with more of exotic cars, driftings, and all of those car shows, car salon, and they deals with entertainment world in the Killer Shine Import Productions. And then with the Killer Shine Racings, there's a lot of the riders that we sponsors and we support, not just Aden. We supported like 4 or 5 riders. They're young like Aden, and we pays for all the bills to try to be a running mate with Aden in the racing in the professional level. But then the thing is, it's very hard to keep up with this industry because there's so much money that you really have to put into it. So right now in the Killer Shine Racing, we only have Aden this year, and we don't foresee and another riders out there that we could support. But if there's a best riders out there, Hmong was somebody we would love to support them and get them team up with Aden's. But yes, for the questions, I started out this. I'm the man behind the mask for Kelly Shine Import Productions, okay, and for Kelly Shine Racings. It's of what they do, Chapik and Aaron and them, Kenji Hotel, like Jongtu, like that runs Kelly Shine. But I'm just being their parents, and I'm just supported them of what I'm doing tonight. They do their own shows. They do whatever they want to do. I'm just making sure that they're walking the right path, and just making sure that if they need anything that I could help. Being a father, I would, and that's my role. And I think that every parent or everybody out there should be able to do like that, not just for yourself, but for any other organizations or any other sports athletic out there that they want their dream to become reality. So we have to have more people like myself to try to help them.
Yeah. I think you guys are doing, awesome. I don't, the way you're describing it, I don't foresee. There may be, but I think Aden, you guys are ambassadors for the Hmong community into this sport, and you guys are gonna. I think Aden's gonna go very far. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. It's already been almost 2 hours. Time flies. I think I hung out with you guys for a whole entire couple of days, and I think we could keep on talking for hours and hours because there's so much knowledge behind it, and I think a lot of people are very appreciative. Joe just said, thank you for what you're doing. Blessings to you, Aden, your journey. You are so blessed to have a father who is so supportive. I agree. Keep up the amazing work, Aden. Stay safe and bless you guys. And he says good night. Earlier, Chris Shaw there thọ và chú phòng công mong tuần này ở chỉ tu theo chế nên thọ còn này chỗ mua maybe more young sư looking forward to supporting you guys in the future and you guys have taught me so much and I think anyone that listened to a certain degree of what you guys shared tonight they learned quite a bit. And the Kia said, "Great to know who's behind the Cali Shine." There are a couple of things. I had a list of things I wanted to talk, but and there was it just went in the natural direction. But before we close up tonight, I do want to. Do you guys have a little bit more time?
Oh yeah, we could go on for like another hours.
Let's talk a little tiny bit because I think this will show I think an aspect of the sport that people might not realize. And I wanted to talk about I want to celebrate Aden's successes too, and the most recent one being Button Willow, but the bigger one being Thailand. And I wanted to analyze some of the footage, and Aden and I have already talked about it a little bit, and if you watch my co-track discussion with Aden, but I wanted to get your perspective. I got Aden's perspective a little bit in short, but I wanted to get your perspective also as a rider, but then Aden also to kind of do like a walkthrough. I'm gonna show two footages. The first one being the race where Aden led pretty much the whole entire race and then was passed up at the end, because I think there's a good lesson to learn about that. I asked Aden a little bit about what was happening. I didn't realize what was happening until Aden explained it to me. But then also we're gonna watch the second video where Aden won basically in his track. Are you guys okay? Basically, walking us through that.
Yeah,
let's take a look.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Aden raced in Thailand December, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
Last December, and then Aden set the track record, and then Aden also won. And at the time, I didn't know what it meant to win. I asked Aden when we were on the co-track, what does it mean for itu minority to just go to Thailand and I would figure that your Thailand, must be pretty shocked. So let's walk through this one first. So this is Aden, the last couple of laps. Can you guys just walk us through it?
Yeah.
So they're definitely tailing you, Aden. And you can't see them, or can you see them?
Well, I can't physically see them behind me, but my team that I was working with here, they're one throwing me the boards every time we come down front straight. So sometimes you'll see us come down a front straight, they'll hand us the board. And that is the way the team is communicating with me. That is how they're telling me how many riders are behind me, how far I am from the other riders, what lap times I'm running, how many laps do we have left. It's just that is how the team is being able to communicate to me as a rider. I think it will show a little bit right here on the front straight when we come down right here. On the right side of the screen, there's a pit board where they're holding out right there.
Oh.
So every time we come down the front straight, we'll take a quick glance left on towards our team, and that's the way that they're speaking to us.
That's the information boards, because you can only signal your riders that how much of a gap and how many of a second that the next rider is up to your butt.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so he can't really look back. So he have to just read the board. So we have the actual live timing. So we will look at the actual live timing and they said, okay, to notify Aden is coming through. So we're gonna say, okay, you're in top position right now. You're at first. And the person that behind you, he is like 0.2000 of a second behind you. So that give him the idea to use a strategy of what he needs to do. So
when he's riding, there's not like wireless earpiece in his helmet.
no, they won't allow any earpiece that we could communicate with the riders. Yeah, that would distract the riders. Right.
Okay, and then Aden, so this bike is not your Moto America bike. From what? Can you explain what this bike was? Because this bike, from what the gist of it was not your normal bike. Can you tell us more about this bike?
Yeah, so the bike that I'm riding on here in the video, that's the team's bike. That was the bike that was provided for me when I went over to Thailand, and that was the team that I was working with. It's the same bike. It's the same Kawasaki Ninja 400 that I'm racing out here in the United States. It's just a completely different build, completely different engine work that's done to it. But I made it feel like it was my bike back at home, so I felt like nothing has changed.
Let me add some more to it so they'll understand more. All of the bike is just like cars, So if you know how to drive a stick shift car, you can mostly drive a lot of the stick shift car, but it's a different setup of the brake, and it's different setup of the clutch. Certain cars that you hop in that are stick shift, the clutch is hard. Like I drove my friend's car, my friend's clutch is going to be hard. And if I hop into my car, the clutch is soft. So then I'm so used to it of my being soft. So what it is was being as the team for Aden. It's up to us to actually know of how we could make the riders comfortable. So by doing that, my theory is it's the same bike, 400cc. I mean, Aden could ride 600 and 1000, but he's racing on the 400 right now. So in order for Aden to be going to Thailand and riding on another different bike, and to make him feel comfortable. So being the team for Aden, I gotta think, okay, how do I make that bike feels comfortable for him, like his bike here? So what I do was I take off his bike here, the clutch, the handlebar, the brake pad, and all of those stuff. So I gotta take all of those, everything, check in the plane, and ship it out there. And then when we get out there, the bike that Aden's riding right now, Aden has never been on that bike. So in order for him to feel comfortable on that bike, I got to take all of his part here. So when we get over there, I got to take all of their part off, and I got to put all of what Aden has right here, his bike here at home.
Yeah.
And on that bike over there. So that bike over there, I'm just using their engine.
Yeah.
Okay? So
is that pretty acceptable? Is to do that? Is that kind of like out of the norm? Or is that pretty much acceptable? They're like, okay, yeah, go ahead, do that. Or they like kind of like, no, don't do that.
Yep. There's a law and regulations on all of the racing bracket, but as long as you only change of like you could have a square steering wheel on the car, you could have a round one, you could have whatever, because you're used to your steering wheel. Okay, so you could take out your steering wheel and put it into another car. That's not a problem. You could take out your brake if you're riding. A lot of people that if they race cars, they do understand. I mean, you ride on certain brake pad, like everyday cars here. Every brake pad is different from every other brand name of brake pad. So Aden is used to his brand name of a certain type of brake pad. So I have to take those brake pad and put it on his bike over there. I have to take his clutch, his handlebar, and put it on that bike over there. So he will feel like his own bike over here, even though he pressed on the brake. Oh yeah, the brake feels just like his bike over here. And when he shift, oh, his clutch is, the same amount of pressure as the one he's riding here. So being his team, you got to understand your riders, his concept of riding, or else you can't help him. And then he'll jump on the bike and it's just like, wow, I can't ride this because
Hey, so Aden, when you're riding that bike in Thailand, obviously not your exact bike, but let's say, what percentage would you say it feels like your bike? Like 80% like your bike, or how close is it to your bike? Would you say?
It doesn't feel anywhere like my bike back at home. Like my dad was mentioning earlier, we did take some parts off of my bike here and put it on the bike over there to make me feel more comfortable. Like my dad had a very good example as well. The way you drive your car, the way, your seating position in the car, how far you like your seat back, how high you like the steering wheel, your seating position in the car, you put it like that is because that's how you feel most comfortable driving. Say your wife or your one of your kids drove your car, they will like that driving position to be a little bit different. So as a racer, we try to make ourselves as comfortable as we can on the bike, depending on if it's your bike at home or if it's a bike that you're loaning for a race, like how out there I went and used one of their bikes. You just got to make yourself as comfortable as possible.
Even I have to take off Aden just a seat. I have to take that seat over there and take off their seat and put in his seat, just like a car seat.
Go ahead, Mom. Just go ahead and continue the video.
All right.
Yeah. So before we continue on, so I think there's some people still watching with us, guys. I want to thank the people that are still watching, because Lo and Aden, these are the people that really want to watch. Because if they stuck around this whole entire time, they really want to watch. So I really appreciate everyone that's still watching this part of the video. And if you're here, say hi so we know you're here. But so it's fair to say, guys, that you had a disadvantage basically, whereas you came on, you rode someone else's bike with some relatively minor modification to make it feel like your bike. It's pretty amazing that you still won, because these guys, they're riding their bike, right? But you're not necessarily riding your bike. And so, you kind of think, well, if it was Aden's bike, or if he was really used to his bike, could have easily beat some of the SP guys. But before I go further on, because I think people would benefit from knowing Lo and Aden. So you look at the top, for the viewers, you look at the top left thing, the left round where it says round 4.
Yeah.
We don't know, guys, but you guys definitely know, and I have an idea, but I'm guessing a little bit. So it says super production 400, and it says on their SP Junior. Tell us what that really is telling you guys, so that we know what that means on that race.
Yeah. Aden won't really know how to explain that, but he understand. But a lot of people don't understand. What it is was the round 4. It's this first race here. It's round 4, okay? Because round 4 and round 5 are the championship, the final ending of the season. So 4 and 5 are the championship. Who wins? Who takes all? So that's round 4 and round 5. The other video, which you haven't put on here, but it's round 5, and this is round 4. This is on a Saturday race, and round 5 is on the Sunday race. So he's running on the sport production, and the 400cc, which a lot of people, you guys know the 400cc. It's the type of bike that Aden's racing on, and SP, it's sport production, stands for sport productions. So sport production is like people my age and your age that are over the age of um, 18 and over. Okay, 18 and over, that they still ride and race in that bracket on the 400 production bike. They could race into that class. Okay. And then the SP Junior, that's a sport production juniors. That's a class that Aden raced on, because Aden is 18 years old, and Aden just barely turned 18. So Aden has to be on the SP Junior, because he's not over the age of 18. Okay, so he's on the SP Juniors, but that's the difference between SP and SP Junior. Okay, SP is you're over the age of 18, and SP Junior is 14 to 18. But the SP Junior are the fastest one, because I mean that's how all sport is. The younger kids, they're more advanced, and they're more skillful than the older riders. So that's why, as you see in this video, all of those that win are like the SP Juniors, because they're more faster, and they have more guts into this racing. So the SP
so they're racing together, SP and SP Junior at the same time.
Yep.
Okay.
They will qualify at the same time. They will grid. Whoever the fastest is will be on the front. SP and SP Junior, the two group bracket, will race at the same time. But actually, you're racing your own class. Okay, there's two class running in there, but you're racing your class. But they do also have that if you are the fastest one that breaks that record, you take that record. And they have the overall, like they have the SP and SP Junior, so you could win the overall title as well. So that's why people said, Aden, well, you got third place, fourth place. Okay, yeah. On his SP Junior, he took first place in his SP Junior class, but he took third place overall SP and SP Junior, and he breaks the fastest time record. So it's kind of confusing for people that doesn't race, so they tend to understand. But yeah, this is the definition of it. Yeah.
Okay, let's keep watching. Let's see here.
อาจารย์เอใช่ไหมไปหมกไว้
So they're telling you,
เหมือนที่ผมบอกว่าอาจารย์เอเนี่ย
are those bikes behind you? So Aden, when you get past, are they SP or SP Junior passing you?
It really depends, because
You can't really tell.
It really depends, because sometimes you can't tell, and sometimes your team will have to go to paperboard out and communicate with you. Sometimes they'll let you know how many SPJs are behind you, the guys that you're actually racing, and the guys that you should worry about.
And so when you race these guys, you didn't really know them at all, right?
No, that's the one thing that I don't know, is because I don't have any experience riding with them. They're new guys that I never rode with.
And did you already know when they were going to try to basically make the move?
I had an idea. So pretty much what they're doing right now is that they're not really trying to pass me. They're just kind of staying behind me, learning my riding style, where I'm weak, where I'm strong. They're kind of just learning how I ride and picking a place to pass me.
Being like Aden's team and all of Aden's crew team, if like after when Aden raced like this Saturday race, we would have get this video and we would have sit with Aden and we would have revealed this video, clip to clip. It's just
Yeah,
not
'cause there
like,
he
oh,
goes.
we're
Yeah,
just watching for entertainment.
yeah,
We use this clip to watch every movement and study the rider that's next to Aden, and we study Aden's movement. And we will tell Aden that, hey, Aden, look, this corner, this is what you need to do. And this rider, he's like this, he's like that. So we need to watch this kind of video and take the advantage of looking at the video and sit down with our riders and tell our riders that this is what you need to do to beat them. This is what you need to do to go faster on this corner. So all of this video is just not for entertainment. We use this kind of video for study and to teach our riders. And by being like Aiden's team, I could look at this video and I could tell of what that Aden did wrong and what other people that did wrong. And that's when we could communicate and teach our riders that this is what you're going to do when you go out tomorrow. This rider is riding aggressive like this. He's weak at this point. He's weak at this point. You're strong at this point. This is what you should do. So everything is just not racing. You gotta have a lot of your team. Gotta have a lot of psychology. If you don't have a full team there, it doesn't matter how good you are. You're gonna go out there and lose if you don't have the good team to strategize and to look at all these videos to give you all this data and psychology. You're gonna lose no matter how good you are. You go into another world, a different world, and you haven't been to that track. And these people, they rode that track, and this is their backyard track. And they know every corner. And the bike that they're on, that's their bike. That's the home bike. And you go international and you hop on your team's bike and you don't know the track. You only have one day to learn the track. So you got to learn it quick. So we got to look at all of these videos, look at all the riders that race against our riders, and we got to look at how their movement, how their tactic is. So like this video here, Aden was doing perfectly good. He's doing very good, but everything is political and psychology as well. When they're willing to sacrifice like 3 riders against 1 rider, that means you're done. When you don't get out of that situations. Like if you watch this video further, when Aden was leading, and there's 3 guys, they're just studying him. And when they trap him, they're sacrificing 1 guy to trap him in the front, 1 guy's on the side, and 1 guy's behind. You're done. They sacrifice their name and their country and their team to go against you. That's why when we talk about a little bit ago, that's why I said we're always looking for a teammate with Aden, because that's what sports is. If you have teammate, you teamwork. So if they're Aden's fast and Aden's running mate is helping Aden right there, so they're trying to trap Aden. Now his running mate is gonna get away. So if they're trying to trap Aden's running mate, Aden's gonna go. So as a team, when we're fighting for the championship name, and I'm very sorry to say this, but sometimes we gotta sacrifice one of the riders to take that championship.
Yeah, I see. So it's not so so you're bringing in a dimension that I didn't realize, because you not you show this you lengthy, but yeah. So the funny thing is, I started watching Moto America races, but what I noticed is that I kept on watching this race about Aden's footage. I was like, how did they take him? Because in some of the Moto America races, when it's only 2 guys going, you can see the second guy make a move past the first guy, but the first guys always sweep around and go back in front. Whereas here, you make a good point. When there's 3 of them, then yeah, they're Thai nửa mai, fair to
Right.
say.
So they, they're not gonna tell us their psychology, but as being in the professional racing leagues, you could just tell by how they're gonna trap him, because they are representing their country and they are a team. So they know that, okay, just like this, okay, the white guys is gonna catch up to Aden. So they're gonna use the white guy here to catch up Aden in the last lap. And then one guy's gonna trap him in front, and one guy's gonna trap him on the side, and one guy's gonna be behind him. So the fastest guy that is like Latu Pe,
he's in the middle somewhere.
Yeah. So he's gonna, they're gonna sacrifice all the other three riders and let that guy take the win. But at the end of the day, they're winning because they're a team. You know? So that's what happened to racing. I mean, it's not just like, oh, who's good. All of this stuff. And I mean, if you see the other video that the round 5 one that Aden took the championship, you see Aden start riding very rough, just like them. Aden knows how to block them. Aden's know how to swing into their line, so they can't block him. So if you're alone by yourself and you're gonna let them counterattack you, then when they surrounded you, you're done. So you gotta make sure that they can't box you in. So you gotta use your psychology, use your skills, so they can't block you, so they can't counterattack you. So that's how all of this racing is about. It's not just about racing.
So safe to say that his now this is round 5 where Aden does finally take the championship. So you're saying he rides very different from the other race, the race then?
Oh yeah. Right after the round 4 race, we talked the whole night. Yeah, we talked the whole night. Not just me, Aden. We got the whole crew team and all of Aden's instructor here in the United States. They're on the phone with Aden in Thailand. And they're speaking to Aden and they're talking to Aden and say, hey, this is what you're gonna do. This is what it is. So that's how everybody put in the strategy for Aden. So now in this round 5, it's winners takes all. So now he has to understand that this is how they ride. So this is how you're gonna beat them. So you see a lot of the commentator there, they will say, wow, Aden's like blocking everywhere, they're speaking in Thai. But that's what he needs to do. That's what he needs to do to win. And like right here, all of us, we told Aden, don't go in front of them. You follow them. You let the leader. He leads you, and you will beat him. Let him draft you, and you will beat him at the end. That's how it is. So it's just not Aden is trying to race. All of the team out here, we gotta look at every single move that he makes, and then we gotta give him all of the strategies in that whole night, so tomorrow he could win. It's very hard, and that's when a lot of the strategy comes into play.
Yeah.
See, like right now, Aden could overtake him, and Aden could just be in front of the guys in the pink bike right there. But we decided, do not pass him. Let him draft you. Let him block the win, and you just behind him. You put pressure on him and let him make the mistake, and then you win. If he don't make the mistake, he don't crash, you will look at the final lap like right now, okay? And he is not in your SP Junior class. He is the SP. So even though he finished on the finish line, still he win his class. You're second right there. You win your class.
Yeah.
But you know, you take championship in your class, SP Junior. He took championship in his SP class. So that's how it is. We all of the mechanic and all of the crew needs to be on top of all of this stuff, right?
Very interesting. So Aiden didn't have to beat the first guy; he just had to beat all the SP juniors.
Right. Yep. Yeah. That's
Interesting. So,
yeah. That's how it is.
and that's why everyone's cheering right there.
Yeah, because Aden is first. Aden didn't cross the finish line as the first bike, but the one that crossed the finish line first, that's the SP. And Aden crossed second, but Aden is the top finish in SP Junior. So
Interesting.
Aden don't need to try to win that guy because Aden is already winning Aiden's class.
Aden Thao
Yeah.
อยู่ตะการละโซดูที่แชมป์อเมริกาจินเด
Very interesting. So, I watched this video, but I had no idea what was going on. So thank you for explaining because, you think you understand, and then when the way you explain it, there's so much technicality. There's so much more to it. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of things to it, but พอในกู explain แล้วก็เลย you and the viewers understand now what SP and SP Junior is, but come into racing just to give your viewers some thoughts about being a racer. It's just not that ก็คือการแก้มาโตนะ Aden, I mean we have a lot of friends that rides motorcycle, but they will know how to ride motorcycle on the street. But if you put them on the track, they will crash every time on the track because they will not pass through all of those corners. And besides, when they used to the track and they're getting good, they could never become a professional racers because you could have so much thousand of seat time riding motorcycle for the rest of your life, but if you don't know the mentality of racing and all of the strategies in this racing industry, you can never be there. So Aden's all of his instructors are MotoGP guys. Wow. They're MotoGP guys, and we paid so much money just for them just to instruct Aden's. And Aden went through all those training with them, and not just riding on the bike. Everybody knows how to ride on the bike, but what?
I think we may have lost.
Right.
Okay, very nice. The last thing I'm going to touch upon is what the other stuff that Aden does, and it's stuff that Aden he doesn't have to do, and I think it's worth commenting on because Aden doesn't have to do it, but he does it anyways, and that's the other thing that Aden does is he does a lot of charity work. And so Aden, Aden just isn't really, he's in Thailand, and Aden, tell us about what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so this is one of the schools, and where was that part again? Because there was a few different places that we visited. So
that's in northern Thailand. That's northern Thailand above Chiang Rai, past Chiang Mai, past Chiang Rai. It's in the remote area past Chiang Rai in Thailand. So in this village is it's all of this Hmong. They're the last Hmong refugees. Okay, they're the last Hmong refugees out of Laos, and they can't come to the United States. They miss all of the asylum to come here to the United States. So then they just put all of these Hmong people in this remote mountains in northern Thailand. And then we got over there, and then there's one of our cousins, which they know family that lived there, and they've been talking to us about a lot of this poor village of all these kids. So good thing that the principal here, he's always like following on our on Facebook, and then he kept thumbs up and all of those stuff. So when we posted that Aden is raising and tiding some vocabulary in English, so that's when we started to communicate with him, and then he said he's Thai, but he's the principal there for this school. So they invited Aden to go and see his Hmong kids. So we accept the invitations, and we went and see this poor, unfortunate kids. And then luckily, Aden did a good race, and he has won a lot of the contingency money from the sponsors and from Kawasaki and them. So Aden decided to use his money just to buy all of these kids school supplies and all of the teachers and principal, and built them the cafeteria, because I don't think they know what cafeteria is over there, because during rainy day, when they go and get their food, they just like go under the tree or go find somewhere where they won't get wet to eat their food. On a hot day, they just have to go under the tree. So then I don't think they know cafeteria. So we have the idea that Aden could build them the cafeteria. It'll be a great place for the kids to socialize during their lunchtime. So that's why Aden spent all of his money just giving and building the cafeteria and buying all of this students supplies. And Aden was supposed to go back this year, and if we go back this year, Aden, even though they opened up that cafeteria as you see on the video right there, they haven't do the grand opening yet. So Aden has to go over there and do the grand opening for that cafeteria. And inside the cafeteria there, they have a giant mural that they have Aden's big pictures in there. And they name the cafeteria after Aden's. And then they have his giant racing pictures inside the cafeteria. And we're donating Aden's bike in Thailand to them. So they put it in the glass and then they showcase and leave it there in the school cafeteria, just for the kids.
That school's going to become very famous.
Yeah. But that's all that we could do for now. But we're gifted that Aden do have some thoughts and just realize of how other unfortunate kids that can be like him. So it's good that being a father, I show him the root of on our people, where we come from and how we sacrifice. So it's good that he gets the opportunity to look at our grassroots where we come from, and we still have suffering and sacrificing. It doesn't have the opportunity like what Aden have right now. So it's like I was telling Aden, hey Aden, if you earn more money this year, since you're always taking championship, you got to donate more and more to build your school. So that's what Aden's obligation is. Whether his sponsors or anybody contribute to help him or not, but his obligation is just to trying to help all of those kids and the school. And we do understand, I mean, being Aden's dad, I do understand that a lot of our Hmong people, not majority, but a lot of our people, they don't tend to wants to contribute and help an individual persons while they're climbing up the stairs and trying to make something out of them or achieving their goals. But just like, for example, like Sunisa Lee, I mean, you never heard about her when she was practicing, when she was like, trying to make into the Olympics. Nobody heard about it because nobody pays attention to it. But then when she wins, everybody's like, hey, that's our Hmong girls, I mean, she's part of Hmong, but she is our Hmong Asian girl. So we all respect and we all cheers for her and would very proud of what she has done to achieve our legacy and our root of our people.
Yeah.
But then people will not tense when she's up there. Then now everybody was like, oh yeah, she's one of us, So being a father, I would tell all of the viewers that a lot of the generations nowadays, we should try to change. We should try to change, and we should try to help one another, and we should not try to be any jealousy of one another. We should be more acceptance of our accomplishment within our community, especially our Hmong roots, where we came from, and our name, and our ancestors, our mom, our dad, our grandparents that brought us here. We shouldn't have competition among our own people. We should help one another, those that are striving for success. We never know who's going to be success tomorrow. We never know who's going to be another Aden tomorrow. We never know who's going to be another Sunisa Lee tomorrow. But whoever has to dream to do that, we should help them. And we should not think that, oh, this is Low's son or this is Long's son. It's not my son. I'm not going to help. We shouldn't think of that way. We should try to not have that kind of attitude of what the elderly in our Hmong communities been having for over centuries. We should try to break that point away, and we should try to help. Like Aden now, I mean, if being a father, if I don't pull Aden into all of this Hmong community, attending Hmong New Year's and all of this stuff, so Aden's just gonna be another persons out there that, hey, I don't really speak Hmong. I understand Hmong, but I don't speak Hmong. So I'm just gonna forget about the Hmong community. I'm not gonna get out there in the Hmong community because what can they do for me? They can't do nothing for me. They can't even help me. They can't even contribute to help me. They will only see me when I'm successful. But when the time when I'm needs help, nobody is looking at me.
Yeah.
But then now when I'm a professional writer like this, so now it's like everybody wants to to know me and wants to be friends with me, but on the reality sides, nobody's helping me, you know. So
Yeah.
we should, as a lot of the viewers, your viewers here tonight, um, a lot of the people are the youngest generations. So we should be able to change. We should be able to change. People like myself, my generations, even though we can't change, but I'm asking you guys, ask the youngest generations. You guys need to change, and you guys need to help one another. It doesn't matter what last name you
Yeah.
have or who you are. It's just that, look, we're fortunate that we're here in the United States, and there's not many few of us that could compete with the world.
Yeah.
So we need to help one another, and we really need to help. You know, instead of waiting for a person to get sick often, all of this going on here that you see every day on Facebook, it's just like, oh, this person died, they're starting a GoFund. This person is sick, having cancer, they're starting a GoFund. But people would tend to help. But when those people that needed help, when they're climbing up the ladders and out there, I guarantee you and everybody out there, nobody will help. You'll be lucky if you get $500 when you're asking for them to help in your sport career or your learning career. I just saw a post yesterday of a Hmong um, college student here in Fresno State University. She's gone overseas during the time this winter when Aden's gonna be racing in Thailand, which Aden's gonna be over there, and she's gonna be going over there to do her trainings over there as a teacher in Thailand, and she's having a GoFundMe, and she's working part time as a student and trying to save every penny she can. And I saw that post and it just clicked my mind, and I eventually private message her and I say, hey, what can I do to help you? And I understand your needs. Maybe I could be able to help you to raise the fund for you. And that's something like that. We need to consider and we need to help.
Yeah.
So we don't wait until when a person is having cancer and dying, or we can't just wait till a person that is dying and said, "Hey, we need the money to cover up for this funeral expense," or they're dying and we need the money. Come on, we need to help them while they still, healthy and living and having the hearts to make a difference in this world. So
Yeah.
if we don't change that strategies, we're gonna wait till person that dies. Like every day, I go to funeral. All those people that come and contribute are to those people that dies,
Yeah.
and but those people that are living, nobody contribute to help them success. So we
Yeah.
need to change that strategy within the Hmong community.
Well,
So
I like what you guys are doing because you guys is there's a saying that talk is cheap, and Aiden, he gives, I don't think there's a lot of people that would give a significant part of their winning to build a cafeteria, that would donate necessarily their race bike to a school in northern Thailand. And so I love it that you're reaching out, but I think that where Aiden is in a very interesting situation in the sense that Sunisa Lee didn't. I don't know how much help she got on her way up, but the reason why I brought you guys to my live session is to make people aware that, number one, Aiden is a great guy. He's thoughtful. He's wise. He's extremely talented. On top of that, Aiden's got a very competent team. When just like Sunisa Lee, it's not Sunisa Lee just jumping in the gymnasium. No, she's got a great staff behind her. She's got teachers and coaches, and there's ways to help you guys too. And I think that Lo, we should set something up so that people can help donate to Aiden's cause to help it to help him move up in the cycling motorcycle racing world. And there's a couple of things going on that I want to make people aware of. The first thing is that there was a fundraiser scheduled for originally for tomorrow, but Lo, you informed me that unfortunately, due to some logistical circumstances, it's actually, this is an old flyer, but it's actually been moved to May 6th. And if you're in Fresno, you can support Aden simply by buying a ticket or buying a table, or at that point you can also just donate to Aden's cause, because Aden, as much as we've spoken already, there's a lot of there is sponsorship, but you need to just to travel and to take your team with you and to stay on top of things. To be the best, you need a lot of support, and I think that the there's a lot of that we can do to make Aden, to help him to make it a little bit easier for him to race too. And I think a little bit, maybe it's okay, but I want to advocate that let's go out and support Aden. He's a local kid. He's one of us, and he's moving up very quickly. There's like not more so Aden. 3 years ago, Aden was at Button Willow starting. All of a sudden, he became pro in a couple months, and now he's racing Moto America. And not too long ago, he was Aden. Do race Thailand, and then what you just shared with me, Aden shared with me earlier, is the next coming months probably he's gonna go to Spain, and it's gonna. Aden is he's a very special rider, and people, I think anyone that meets Aden in person, Aden spoke some in the beginning, but Aden, when you meet Aden, I encourage everyone to make contact with Aden and meet and speak to him, because he's a really nice guy. He's a really personal guy, and so there's this event coming in May 6th. But then also, for those who don't know, and Lo, from what you told me, the event, there's another event also that's going on in Minnesota, but that event, actually, is it true that it's sold out?
Actually, Lee called, put what we're supposed to have event supposed to be tomorrow here in Fresno, California, but then actually that is sponsored by Rice Inc. Organization that they host this for Aden, but then is they shared with me yesterday, and when I went through all of the logistic things, was all of the speakers, sound system engineering that they ordered to make it compatible for the parties and to meet the needs of all of the artists, has not arrived until next week. So there has been a big delay for all of their equipment. So that's why got back to me. So I told them, well, it's another date, which is going to be May the 6th. And they will resume back to that event here in Fresno, California. But on next week, we're flying out to Minnesota, which the community in the state of Minnesota, they're hosting a fundraiser party event for Aden. And yes, thank you a lot. If there's a lot of people from Minnesota that are watching Hmongoose tonight and watching us tonight, I want to thank you. Thanks to all of you Minnesota people that has purchased all of the tickets and make this party a sold out party, and getting ready to see Aden when he's up there next week. So I appreciate of that, and give a lot of appreciation and much thank you to all the Minnesota people that has contribute and sold out this event here. So my thank you as Aden's father to all of the Minnesota people, and hopefully the one here in Fresno, May the 6th, we could be able to do something like that here in California as well. But much appreciation and much love to all the Minnesota people, and thank you all.
For those who aren't in the Minnesota or Fresno area, alone, Aiden, I hope that we find a way to make it possible for cho nhau sân on the Fresno thiên nhóm the Minnesota yo lên thì sapa nhà mình chỉ ba Shanghai Aiden lo that we should make something public too, so that they can all contribute to, Aiden, too. So let's make it possible for him.
Yeah. Thank you, Long. Thank you for you bringing up that subject. But I do understand that budget wise is very hard for everybody at this time of the pandemic situation right now. But if those that wanted to contribute and be a part of Aden's racing teams for 2022, whichever you guys contribute to Aden, we have all your names and everything, and the team along with myself as Aden's father, I will make sure that Aden will acknowledge you guys, and we will have you guys on the Aden's race program, and big or small, we will cherish that, and we will make sure that we will carry your name and represent your name. It doesn't have to be thousands of dollars or whatever it is. I mean, even such a even it don't have to be money. Even just a word of courage, a word of good luck. We cherish that, and we will carry that with us. But being a professional racer like Aden here, he does have his account, which everything is that goes into him at the end of the years. Of course, he has to pay taxes on, and he have to be accountable for all of those stuff too. So if anybody would want to be on Aden's team and contribute for Aden, don't hesitate to contact Aden directly on his Facebook. There is a certain criteria that his sponsors won't let him post so much on his private social media, such as Facebook or Instagram, because they do have an underline of jurisdictions that he has to go through. So many of you guys can't see that Aden has been on there, but he's always there on his private Facebook, all of those. And if you guys want to reach out, you guys don't reach out to Kelly Shine Racing. It's all of our groups, the team. So I usually moderate that, but not just myself, but Chapik Lee and Aaron and all of them. They also moderate the Kelly Shine Import Productions and Import Racing Facebook as well. So if you guys want to contact Aden directly, of what you guys have, any thoughts or ideas that you guys want to invite him over to join you guys, or invite him over for any things that you guys need, feel free to just reach out to Aden's Facebook. Just search in Aden Thao, and then you'll see Aden, and don't hesitate. I mean, being a father, I told Aden that we are treated equally, and no matter how far you go and what you do, uh, you gotta always remember of who you are, and you gotta keep yourself as normal as everybody is. Okay, it does not mean you're gonna be a superstar and then you're gonna ignore everybody.
Yeah.
So what we are controlling Aden and the team and the sponsor are controlling him of just making sure that he does not drink, he does not do drugs, he does not do any crazy stuff out there that it's just gonna make him not an idol. So that's our responsibility as a team and as parents to manage him. But otherwise, I mean, feel free to. I mean, you guys could contact him days and night on his Facebook, and I'm pretty sure he'll he's not like any other people that it's gonna take months or years to get back to you guys. He's very humble. He's my son, and I don't treat him like my son. I treat him like my brothers. We talk like we're friends. We talk like we're brothers and friends. I don't treat him like my son. I would have,
I agree. That my observation is exactly that. Aden, is there anything that you want to say before we wrap up tonight? Again, if you guys if anybody wants to contact about maybe donating, you can contact either through Kalishine or through Aden directly. Aden, do you have anything you want to say before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I just want to thank first of all you Long for kind of inviting us out, letting us talk about all of this. Just kind of.
I learned so much, and I think the watchers, anyone that watched, they probably learned a lot too.
It's always something that we always wanted to do, to inform the public and the Hmong community as well of how our racing is and how it's actually like. So, thank you, Long, for this show so much, and I'd like to thank everyone who has helped me in the past, and who has helped me for my fundraiser, and who is going to be helping me for this year. Like my dad said earlier, when I say help me, it doesn't mean sponsorships or handing me money for a donation. People that contact me on Facebook and Instagram, and just wishing me luck, the best of luck, and stuff like that. That really means a lot, and I'm really thankful for all that stuff.
All right, guys. Just to let you know, we are 3 hours. I thought this was going to be 45 minutes to an hour, and then we were going to run out of things to say. But when you talk about something you love, then you talk on. And I'll be honest, just hanging around you guys and getting to know the racing scene a little bit more, I'm starting to love it more and more. And I look forward to filming more of you guys, Aden, and your interaction. I think there's still a lot of really great stories to tell. There's still so much to learn. Mary says, good luck, Kalishine Racing Team. Race on, Aden. We're here for you and love you. And, you have the backing of the community. And best wishes. Let us know if there's any that Hmongoose Live can do. If you guys, I would love to go live with you guys again. And I film, I wanted, for those who don't know, I wanted to shoot Aden at Laguna Seca. But unfortunately, we couldn't get our schedules to meet for Moto America. But hopefully, eventually, I shoot Aden again at a nicer track, and we'll touch base again. So I just want to say thank you so much. 3 hours, that's our new record. I've never talked to someone live for 3 hours, and it was not a slow 3 hours. It was a very fast-paced, informative 3 hours. And thank you to Lo, to Aden, and especially the person in the back that we don't see very much is your wife and Aden, your mom, that supports so much. I can only do this because my wife is watching my kids in the other room. And so, there's our wives that we forget so much, and we're so thankful for them. So I want she's not there now, but she was there setting up with you guys. I want to thank your wife and your mom also, and thank all the people that are watching still. There are actually people still watching, and especially those people who stayed the whole entire time. I think it's amazing people who stayed the whole entire time. So, guys, have a great night, and again, in Fresno, May 6th, watch the Rise and the Kalishine sites for the information, and then also on April 8th, it's sold out. But if you really want to donate to Aden and Cali Shine their cause, then by all means reach out to them, and they'll be more than happy to receive any help.
And thank you, Long. Thank you for your time. ก็ Hmongoose shows now. And hi, Mary. I know you guys are far away. They came and visit us.
Oh.
When we're, I think they live in South Carolina, if I'm not
Very good.
mistaken. So when we're racing in Atlanta and Alabama, their whole family came in supporting
Wow.
Aden.
Very
And
nice.
they bring all their family and spend a couple days there just supporting Aden. So hey, Mary, and you guys, we'll be seeing you guys soon. But before closing this show here, I want to thank you to all of the audience, the viewers.
Yes.
Thank you for all of you guys' time that you guys spent, watching us tonight. But we appreciate all of those people that has contribute and help us. Like Aden said, it's not about the money that we're looking for. It's about the support and the love and within an individual persons. Their kindness will go more than of what the money could buy. So that's what we're looking for. And I want to thank you, especially Long, to yourself and all of the viewers. And before we go, Aiden's race schedule for this year.
Yes.
Just to give a little update, Aiden's April, the last week of April here, Aiden's gonna be racing in Moto America and Atlanta, Georgia. So we have a lot of the people that's been writing to us that all of them, those people in North Carolina and Georgia and South Carolina, they're all coming to meet Aden there and to support Aden there. And Aiden's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, April the 20th. And then after that, Aiden's going to be in New Jersey. And then from New Jersey, Aiden's going to be in Wisconsin. And then from Wisconsin, Aiden's going to be in Washington State. And then from Washington State, Aiden's going to be back in California, which you mentioned, Monterey, Laguna Seca. And then after California here, it's going to be at Minnesota, Brainerd, Minnesota. And then from there, it's going to go back to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then it's going to come to Alabama. And then from it's going to end at Alabama. And then after Alabama, Aiden's going to fly to Spain, which he'll have a wild card in Spain, a team in Spain. They're taking Aden over there to be one of the riders in Spain to do the British Superbike. That's based in the United Kingdom. So he's going to be over there doing the British Superbike. And then from United Kingdom, Aiden's going to go back to Asia. And then Aiden have to go back and trying to defend his championship title from last year.
Okay.
So
Exciting.
Exciting. Thank you guys, and much love and appreciation to everybody. And I'm very glad that you invited me as Aden's dad to be a part of this, but I can't really do much. But like I said, you guys don't hesitate to reach out to Aden. And Aden is just not my son. He's a brother to everybody. He's a son to everybody. Okay, he's your friend.
Yeah.
And
Well, if Aden, if other Hmong people had a dad like you, half as good as you, then there would be a different, very different role for Hmong people. So I give a lot of a lot of praise for you because you're behind the scenes the whole entire time, and probably outside of this, probably people would not have seen you much at all. But you play, you play a very strategic and vital role to Aiden's success. Guys, have a great night.
Thank you.
Blessings to you. God bless you guys in everything that you do, and the Holy Spirit be with you in everything that you guys do. And may the Lord protect you and be with you in everything. And may you continue to thrive and be successful, guys. All right,
Thank
guys.
you so much. Thank
Keep
you.
going. We'll stay in touch.
All the audience, viewers, thank you long. Okay.
Okay.
Bye bye.